Chapter 668. The purple-robed youth's face was as black as an iron pot. The Miao family's plan against the Sun family was of great importance. After hearing Sun Ningxiang's statement, the purple-robed youth no longer had the time or mind to care about the cooperation with the newly established faction, Sky City. He turned around and left. He planned to return to the Miao family and tell everything that had happened here to the Miao family's direct descendants' upper echelons. The decision would be made by the direct descendants' upper echelons. What was happening now was no longer something that the purple-robed youth, who was only wearing a half-circle of green sprouts, could participate in. Once the purple-robed youth left, everyone present was no longer afraid of the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden's momentum. Instead, they began to compete for the 108 fate letters in the wheel. Customizing a bronze/epic fey based on the comprehended willpower rune was something that every spirit chi professional could not refuse. Even if they did not have spare willpower runes and did not need to customize a high-quality bronze fey, they could also save such an opportunity as a resource for a rainy day. As a result, any individual or faction that could take out 3 source-type items planned to participate in the next competition. What if they were the lucky ones? There were a lot of people present, but there were only 108 fate letters in the star wheel. This made most of the people present not even have the chance to participate. It could be said that everyone present was a potential competitor. The star wheel was hidden in the clouds, and the hall was extremely spacious. Some of them would most likely enter the clouds and missed only to end up empty-handed, unable to even find their celestial wheels. Moreover, the fate letters were hung on the back of the star wheel. Even if the fate letters on the star wheel were taken away, there was still no change on the surface of the star wheel. This made it very likely that even if one was lucky enough to touch a star wheel, the fate letters on the star wheel would have long been taken away by others. Sun Ningxiang looked at the people with the fate letters behind the money-making star wheel and suddenly had an idea. Above the heavens, the star wheel was raging. Among the glittering starlight, there was a mystery bestowed by the heavens. The clouds and mist lingered, hiding the mystery. At this moment, the people who were frantically fighting for the fate letters were like the few common people fighting for this mystery. Above these few common people and the heavens, it was a force called Sky City that was overlooking everything. When Sun Ningxiang was young, Du Congealing Immortal Garden was at its peak. At that time, Sun Ningxiang's little brother was not born yet, so Sun Ningxiang was the only direct descendant of the Congealing Du Immortal Garden. It would not be an exaggeration to say that she was the apple of his eye. As the pearl of a peak force, Du Immortal Garden, Sun Ningxiang had seen much of the world since she was young. However, at this moment, Sun Ningxiang felt that she could not see through the masked youth in front of her. Sun Ningxiang said to Peach Demon and Apricot Gua, "You two can go back first. Tao Yao, there are still some small collaborations between Du Immortal Garden and Beast Creation Garden. Go and stop them." Xinghua, spread the news of Du Immortal Garden rejecting the collaboration with the Beast Creation Garden. Make our Sun family's stance clear. Tao Yao and Xinghua responded, "Yes, Mississippi." Then, they left the territory of Sky City's private organization and began to deal with the matters related to the Du Condensation Immortal Garden according to Sun Ningxiang's instructions. Even if there was no clear cooperation between the top forces, their private businesses were inextricably linked. Moreover, it was between the Du Immortal Garden, which had a huge demand for Creation Master's resources, and the Beast Creation Garden, which produced Creation Master resources. For Sun Ningxiang to give such an order, it could be said that she was planning to go all out and stake everything on one throw. Lin Yuan was a little surprised by Sun Ningxiang's decisiveness. At the same time, he understood that Sun Ningxiang's current action was once again expressing her determination to cooperate with him. Sun Ningxiang walked forward and said to Lin Yuan, "I'm sorry. If what I just said gets out, the Miao family might not be able to tolerate Sky City." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan smiled noncommittally and said, "I'm sorry. Whether or not the Miao family can accept Sky City depends on the Miao family's magnanimity. Whether or not the Miao family can accept Sky City depends on Sky City's own ability. You don't have to worry about Sky City." Lin Yuan was only relying on his own ability and the spirit lock spatial zone. Even if they could reach the height of Class 5 Creation Masters, which was far superior to the Miao family, they would not be able to do so. However, in terms of the number of Creation Master resources, Lin Yuan was undoubtedly inferior to the Miao family. Especially low-class Creation Master resources. However, Lin Yuan was not afraid of the Miao family's suppression. It was simply unrealistic for the Creation Master factions to suppress each other and limit the source of customers. In an environment where Creation Master resources were abnormally scarce, as long as there were genuine Creation Master resources, it was impossible for there to be no customers. Therefore, what the Miao family could do was nothing more than to fight a price war or limit Sky City's access to basic spiritual ingredients. It was a fundamental attack on Sky City. However, Lin Yuan had always been in the business of gaining something with nothing at all. Apart from energy ores, which every spirit chi professional needed, and time, Lin Yuan did not need any spiritual ingredients. Under such circumstances, it was impossible for the Miao family to block Sky City's spiritual ingredients. If there was a price war, the longer it lasted, the more the Miao family would lose. Lin Yuan, who was empty-handed, would always only profit and never lose. Sun Ningxiang was about to say something else when the person who had drawn the white card in the fate letter had already appeared. Under the envious gazes of the others, a tall woman wearing cyan half-body armor walked in front of Lin Yuan. The tall woman in the cyan half-body armor was exceptionally excited. She first let out a "yeah" before opening her mouth to speak. She first exclaimed before saying, "My lord, I have drawn a fate letter with a white card. It's just that the willpower rune I comprehended is rather special, and the direction of my affinity with fays is also rather special. Therefore, I want to provide a bronze fay myself, and my lord can enhance it to epic. I wonder if it's possible?" Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan did not refuse and nodded. "Since you want to provide your own fay, it saves me the trouble of sensing your willpower rune. Of course, the premise is that the fay you provide me cannot be a fay like the spirit siphon goldfish, which requires multiple times the consumption of Creation Master resources." The woman in cyan half-body armor hurriedly replied, "My lord, don't worry. My lord, don't worry. I will definitely provide a normal fay." Lin Yuan said straightforwardly. "If it's convenient, you can summon the fay for me to see." Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, the woman in cyan half-body armor waved her hand and summoned a pig-shaped life form with a long nose. Lin Yuan used true data to check this pig-shaped life form with a long nose and immediately knew why the woman in cyan half-body armor had chosen to take the initiative to provide a fay. The second one was even better. End of this chapter. Chapter 669. When looking for a Creation Master to customize a fay based on the willpower rune, the fay would comprehend all sorts of willpower runes when evolving to bronze grade, and there was no way to control it. This made it very likely that spirit chi professionals didn't need exclusive skills to enhance bronze/epic fays. Therefore, when customizing a high-quality bronze fay based on the willpower rune, it was very common for the buyer to provide a bronze fay. The drought sand boar that the lady in green half-armor had summoned was a rare fire-earth dual attribute fay. Its exclusive skill, drought gravity, could increase the gravity of the arid land that was deprived of water elements. As the drought sand boar became stronger, its control over the drought sand gravity would also continuously increase. In fact, it could even produce a decent killing effect. The change of gravity in a small region would affect the same object. As long as the difference between the two types of gravity was large enough, the object would be torn apart. The lady in green half-armor crouched on the ground and touched the drought sand boar that was lazily lying on the ground. "My lord, do you think this drought sand boar is all right?" Lin Yuan nodded. "Yes." Lin Yuan pointed at the bronze/legend oath lily of the valley on the table and said to the lady in green, "According to the rules I mentioned earlier, swear on this oath lily of the valley." "According to the rules I just mentioned, swear on this oath lily of the valley." The tall lady in green half-armor looked at the bronze/legend oath lily of the valley on the table and couldn't help but have an intoxicated expression. I didn't expect that I would be able to see a bronze/legend fae in this lifetime and even swear on it. However, I don't have any overly precious spiritual ingredients or faes. Therefore, my lord shouldn't be able to obtain anything good according to my oath. In response to the tall woman's words, Lin Yuan smiled noncommittally. According to the oath, when exchanging for resources, Lin Yuan would need to take out resources of equal value for the exchange. During the exchange process, Lin Yuan wouldn't be able to gain any advantage. Lin Yuan wanted to obtain this oath lily of the valley in case he needed a specific fae or spiritual ingredient and couldn't find it. He could use the accumulated oath of the legend oath lily of the valley to search for it from customers who had traded with him. This was a resource exchange channel with Sky City as the core. As he accumulated more and more oaths of exchange, the possibility of him being able to exchange for good things would increase. In the exchange oath, Lin Yuan chose to trade. As long as the other party had resources, he couldn't refuse. In such a transaction, even though the lower limit was very low, the upper limit was also very high. He could even trade for law crystal fragments and even law origin crystals. Then, a bell-shaped white flower on the branch of the oath lily of the valley fell into the jade pot in which it was planted. The first oath of exchange was successfully completed. Lin Yuan looked at this dry land sand pig, which was lying on the ground lazily and had a longer nose than the other pig species fays, and he said to the tall woman in green half-armor, "It's fine. You're the first customer of Sky City, so it's only right that I give you some benefits. Your drought sand boar has already faintly awakened the MO bloodline. When the time comes, Sky City will help you improve the quality of this drought sand boar, and at the same time, we will also help you to stimulate the taper bloodline in your drought sand boar. Let the drought sand boar evolve into a drought sand taper." Lin Yuan's words made Sun Ningxiang's eyes narrow. At the same time, the tall woman in the green half-body armor exclaimed. It also made those who didn't snatch the fate letter and those who did snatch the fate letter, but the fate letter was a black letter, feel sour. It was as though they had eaten 100 lemons. In order to awaken the drought sand boar's taper bloodline and evolve into a drought sand taper, extremely pure spirit chi was required. Such pure spirit chi could only be concocted by pinnacle class for creation masters. However, who would have thought that such a pinnacle class for creation masters' resources would actually be casually given out by Sky City? That tone was as simple as if you bought 5 caddies of apples, would give you a plastic bag. This was a pinnacle class for creation masters' resources. It wasn't like upgrading a bronze fae to epic quality, which only required some effort from a mid-grade class for creation master. If a class 5 creation master didn't make a move, a pinnacle class for creation master would be the ceiling. In order to find a pinnacle class for creation master to make a move, one would first have to establish a relationship with one. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible no matter how much radiance dollars were offered. Anyone who looked for a pinnacle class for creation master to do something would definitely have a lot of radiance dollars in their pockets. It could be said that this tall woman in green half-armor had simply picked up a huge bargain. She had made a huge profit. At that moment, Sun Ningxiang's eyes were narrowed. She wasn't concerned about the gains and losses of the tall woman in green half-armor. Instead, she was concerned about Lin Yuan's attitude toward high-class creation masters. As a pinnacle faction, the Du Immortal Garden had 3 pinnacle class for creation masters at their peak. As for the resources of these 3 pinnacle class for creation masters, the Du Immortal Garden was extremely cautious when using them. Usually, the more pinnacle the faction, the more cautious they would be when using the creation master's resources. However, this masked man in front of her didn't seem to care about the pinnacle class for creation master's resources. In fact, it wasn't that Lin Yuan wanted to give this tall woman some benefits. Instead, it was because this drought sand boar's body already showed signs of bloodline awakening. As long as it was brought into the spirit lock spatial zone and Lin Yuan guided the pure spirit chi into the drought sand boar, the drought sand boar would naturally evolve. Lin Yuan was just doing it casually. The woman in green half-armor hurriedly thanked Lin Yuan. My lord. Thank you so much. In the future, I, Zhou Shufan, will forever be your Sky City's #1 fan. After reaching a deal with the woman in green half-armor, Lin Yuan's mission of announcing Sky City's private faction territory was considered to have been completed perfectly. Lin Yuan believed that with so many incidents happening in these few hours, Sky City's popularity would definitely remain on the hot list. In fact, its ranking would even be greatly improved. Lin Yuan's main purpose of establishing Sky City was to collect resources. The money that Lin Yuan had earned from steadily developing his faction was already enough for his expenses, but now, his business was getting bigger and bigger. The Spirit Deer Merchant Association even had to compete with the Zheng family in luxury goods resources. The expenditure was definitely not negligible. Therefore, Lin Yuan decided to release the fate letter once a day. However, Lin Yuan didn't have so much time, so he went to Sky City's private territory every day to manage it. Third time. End of this chapter. Chapter 670. The original plan was for Wen Yu to manage Sky City's private territory. However, Wen Yu was now in charge of Sky Castle's intelligence work, and she had a lot of things to do every day. Therefore, he felt that his Sky City should recruit another internal affairs talent who could help Wen Yu. It was just that this kind of internal affairs talent was very important, and it had to be someone who could be completely trusted. Lin Yuan didn't have a target for such a person. After watching Lin Yuan deal with Sky City's functions, Sun Ningxiang said, "You're right. I want to talk to you about the cooperation between Sky City and the Du Immortal Garden." He didn't put on airs about Sun Ningxiang's proposal. Sun Ningxiang had already expressed her goodwill to Sky City several times in a row. Lin Yuan said, "Since the Du Immortal Garden is in such urgent need of creation master resources, it must have encountered some trouble." As soon as Lin Yuan finished speaking, Sun Ningxiang admitted with a calm expression. "That's right. The Du Immortal Garden Sparrow is currently facing a huge problem, and it has a very high demand for creation masters' resources. Especially the resources of high-class creation masters. The Du Immortal Garden requires a large amount." Sun Ningxiang's words startled Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan was very surprised at Sun Ningxiang's honesty. The larger a force was, the more they would hide when they encountered trouble. But who would have thought that Sun Ningxiang would directly mention the predicament of the congealed Du Immortal Garden? There are plenty of high-class creation master resources in Sky City, but I don't know if your Du Immortal Garden can provide what I want. When Sun Ningxiang heard Lin Yuan's words, she felt relieved. As a peak force, the Du Immortal Garden had accumulated countless resources over the years. As long as Sky City is able to provide high-class creation masters to the Du Immortal Garden and form a long-term cooperation, the Du Immortal Garden can offer 10% more than the market price. Now, there was only 1 year left for the Du Congealing Immortal Garden. As long as she could extend her life, Sun Ningxiang didn't mind spending more money. Sun Ningxiang's words were filled with sincerity. However, Lin Yuan had not hesitated to face the Miao family's pressure in advance when trading with the Du Immortal Garden. It was not for ordinary market resources. Lin Yuan said, "I'm not interested in money." Lin Yuan's words startled Sun Ningxiang, and she looked at Lin Yuan with a strange gaze. Immediately after, Sun Ningxiang heard Lin Yuan speak again. "Although I'm not interested in money, I'm very interested in law origin crystals." Sun Ningxiang looked at Lin Yuan with an increasingly strange gaze. She felt that after Lin Yuan said that, he had the aura of a hedonist. Although the law origin crystal could mark the death of a level 7 dimensional creature, it also contained a trace of nomological power. However, even Class 5 creation masters couldn't do anything about the law origin crystal. No matter how many additional meanings the law origin crystal had, it was just a useless stone in Sun Ningxiang's opinion. In the early years of the Sun family in flourishing Flower City, they had cleaned up the major dimensional rifts that had opened near the city. Currently, there were a lot of law origin crystals gathering dust in the Du Immortal Garden Mansion storeroom. He hadn't expected that these law origin crystals, which had been eating dust, would actually come in handy. No problem. The Dew Immortal Garden has accumulated some law origin crystals. However, if we only rely on law origin crystals for transactions, the law origin crystals in the Sun family's inventory will soon be exhausted. What other resources does Sky City need for our next cooperation? Lin Yuan was delighted when he heard Sun Ningxiang's words. Although Duan he was an emperor-class expert, he was just one person in the end. Lin Yuan had asked Duan he to help him collect law origin crystals, but the number of law origin crystals he could collect was limited. It was far inferior to the Dew Immortal Garden, which was a top-notch faction. Lin Yuan calculated in his heart. With the Dew Immortal Garden's help, the princess's speed of ascension and the complete law in her skirt would be much faster to break through to Myth 3. In the process of nurturing flowers and fays, the Dew Immortal Garden should inevitably use pure spirit qi to induce the rare flowers and fays to evolve or mutate. This belongs to the category of pinnacle class for creation masters. If the Dew Immortal Garden is willing to trade law crystal fragments or complete law crystals, my Sky City is willing to tilt more high-class creation master resources to the Dew Immortal Garden. Sun Ningxiang hesitated slightly and then said with a firm look in her eyes, "No problem. However, complete law crystals are too precious. Even if I have such things, I can't take them out casually. I hope you can understand. The law crystal fragments can be used to trade with Sky City, but I wonder what type of law crystal fragments Sky City wants to trade." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan replied, "I want all of them. My Sky City will accept all law crystal fragments of any type." Lin Yuan's words moved Sun Ningxiang's heart. Fragments of law crystals were often circulated between peak powers. However, any top faction would spend a huge price to exchange for law crystal fragments for a purpose. Without the help of a Class 5 creation master to concoct a potion that contained pure law crystal power, only laws that were compatible with the phase attribute could devour each other. For factions, buying law crystal fragments that were not needed was equivalent to locking up a portion of their liquid funds. However, Sky City did not have any requirements for the transaction of law crystal fragments. They needed law crystal fragments of any type. Sun Ningxiang could not help but wonder in her heart. Could Sky City be related to the Moon Empress, Bamboo Monarch, and Cupboard Supreme, the three Class 5 creation masters? Only Class 5 creation masters would not care about the attributes of law crystals. All of a sudden, Sun Ningxiang's pupils shrank, and an unbelievable thought appeared in her mind. Could Sky City have such a large number of creation master resources and was restricted to the attributes of law crystal fragments? Was it because Sky City had a Class 5 creation master overseeing it? The Radiance Federation currently only had 3 Class 5 creation masters. However, after so many years of development, there would be one more class for creation master every few years. No one could say if a pinnacle class for creation master would suddenly break through the boundary and reach the standard of a Class 5 creation master. Moreover, Sky City also needed a large number of law crystal. Could the Class 5 creation master in Sky City have found a way to extract the mixed power of law in the law crystal? At the thought of this, Sun Ningxiang hurriedly shook her head. She felt that her thoughts were too unrealistic. The 3 Class 5 creation masters had been famous for a long time, and even the 3 Class 5 creation masters could not do it. Even if Sky City had a creation master who had just broken through to become a Class 5 creation master, it would definitely not be able to do it. First update, seeking monthly votes, chill me tomorrow, I will start writing about Evolved Genius and Little Black. Everyone can guess Genius evolved ability and name. End of this chapter. Chapter 671. Sun Ningxiang felt that she must have been under too much pressure during this period of time, causing her imagination to run wild. Sun Ningxiang coughed lightly, expelling all kinds of thoughts from her mind. Okay, no problem. I wonder how much pinnacle class for creation master resources Sky City can give to the Dew Immortal Garden. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan scratched his head. he really couldn't explain it clearly in a short time. It was impossible for him to upgrade the phase in the Dew Immortal Garden every day without doing anything else. Therefore, he had carefully estimated the production capacity of the Spirit Lock spatial zone. Lin Yuan thought for a moment and said, "That's right. How about this? Sky City will only trade high-class Creation Master resources with the Dew Immortal Garden. When the time comes, the Dew Immortal Garden will bring over the phase that need to be enhanced and the phase that need pure spirit chi to evolve and mutate. As for the amount of strengthening, that will depend on fate." When Sun Ningxiang heard that it depended on fate, she suddenly felt that Lin Yuan was a little unreliable. However, Sun Ningxiang did not have any opinion on the cooperation of high-class Creation Masters. High-class Creation Masters were the most scarce resources in the Dew Immortal Garden. The 3 pinnacle Creation Masters of the Dew Condensation Chamber of Commerce had all been killed by his grandmother. At the same time, she had also executed some of the Class 4 Creation Masters who had attached themselves to the 3 pinnacle Class 4 Creation Masters. Most of the Class 3 and Class 2 Creation Masters were still inside the Dew Immortal Garden. Otherwise, the Dew Congealing Immortal Garden would have collapsed long ago. Sun Ningxiang observed Lin Yuan's expression and could clearly sense that he was thinking about something. Lin Yuan said, "That's right. If the Dew Immortal Garden requires a Legend Fei, our Sky City might be able to achieve it if we work hard. It's just that Law Crystal Shards can't be used to trade for Bronze/Legend Feis. You have to exchange it with a complete set of Law Crystals." Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Sun Ningxiang subconsciously thought that she had heard wrongly and could not help but ask. "You're talking about Bronze/Legend Feis?" Lin Yuan replied with certainty. "If the Fei you bring over is enhanced to Bronze/Legend during the cooperation, you will have to use a complete set of Law Crystals to exchange. The exchange rate is as follows, Myth 1 for 1 and Myth 2 for 3. Sun Ningxiang finally confirmed that she did not hear wrongly. Sun Ningxiang carefully pondered the meaning in Lin Yuan's words and felt that he did not seem to take the Bronze/Legend Fei seriously at all. Bronze/Legend Feis could be said to be treasured by any faction and symbolized a faction's foundation. Which force would be willing to trade such a thing? Sun Ningxiang felt more and more that her wild imagination might not be fake after all. It was very likely that Sky City really had a Class 5 Creation Master overseeing it. The price that Lin Yuan had just given to Sun Ningxiang was not a random one. During this time, Lin Yuan had also carefully understood the specific prices of Bronze/Epic and Bronze/Legend Feis in the Radiance Federation through the information that Wen Yu had organized. Although the price he gave Sun Ningxiang seemed a bit excessive. However, the Radiance Federation's top factions had also traded Bronze/Legend Feis before. The exchange price was 1 Bronze/Legend Fei for a complete Myth I Law Crystal. All of a sudden, Lin Yuan noticed that Sun Ningxiang's gaze toward him had changed. His eyes were filled with surprise and hope. Sun Ningxiang asked cautiously, "I wonder if you can help me upgrade the Bronze/Epic Muscle Revitalizing Camellia to Legendary. If you can raise the Bronze/Epic Muscle Revitalizing Camellia to Legend, I'm willing to exchange a Myth 3 Law Crystal for it." When Lin Yuan heard that, he immediately knew that someone very important to Sun Ningxiang had suffered serious injuries. The Bronze/Epic Muscle Revitalizing Camellia was no longer effective. Instead, he needed the Legendary Muscle Revitalizing Camellia to treat his injuries. His muscles had probably already withered and decayed. The Muscle Regeneration Camellia was a very special Fei. The muscle-growing camellia was a dwarf herb when it was at bronze rank. After advancing to the silver level, the stalk of the muscle-growing camellia would lignify and grow into a tall woody plant. The muscle-revitalizing camellia didn't have to do with the tea leaves or the blooming camellia, but the rich gelatinous substance in the stem of the muscle-revitalizing camellia. Therefore, for the muscle-revitalizing camellia to be effective, it had to be bronze level. At that moment, Lin Yuan couldn't help but feel a little strange. Even if the muscle-revitalizing camellia was very rare, as a top faction, it was impossible for the Sun family to not have a pinnacle class for Creation Master. Even if luck was needed to enhance a muscle-revitalizing camellia, a pinnacle class for creation master would always succeed after working hard for 100 times and trying his luck. Lin Yuan thought to himself. It seems that I really have to get Wen Yu to investigate the Sun family's Dew Immortal Garden. I want to take a closer look at what kind of trouble the Sun family's Dew Immortal Garden had encountered. Lin Yuan didn't immediately agree to Sun Ningxiang's request. Instead, he said, an ordinary muscle revitalizing camellia isn't something rare. It's sold in the Star Web's Rare Life Form Pavilion. If Sky City can produce a bronze/legend muscle revitalizing camellia, I'll inform you. Do you accept the method of using law crystals to exchange for a bronze/legend muscle revitalizing camellia? Sun Ningxiang nodded in agreement. Compared to reaching a deal with Lin Yuan here, Sun Ningxiang's mind was full of thoughts on the muscle revitalizing camellia. If she had a bronze/legend muscle revitalizing camellia, her grandmother would be able to hold on for a while longer. She might even be able to hold on for a full 2 years. During this period of time, Sun Ningxiang had thought of looking for other pinnacle class for creation masters. However, there were only a few pinnacle class for creation masters. Apart from the pinnacle class for creation masters who had established their own factions, the remaining pinnacle class for creation masters mostly belonged to different factions. Her grandmother's killing of the Dew Immortal Garden's 3 rebellious pinnacle class for creation masters had incurred the wrath of many creation masters in the Federation. Under such circumstances, none of the pinnacle class for creation masters were willing to help the Sun family. Now, Sun Ningxiang finally saw hope in Lin Yuan again. After reaching a deal with Sun Ningxiang, Lin Yuan left Star Web. After leaving Star Web and returning to reality, a willpower rune condensed in Lin Yuan's mind. The moment Lin Yuan exited Star Web, he finally completed the knowledge willpower rune's materialization. Lin Yuan waved his hand, and a blue willpower rune containing a sense of inclusiveness and vastness and a gold willpower rune containing wisdom and knowledge revolved around Lin Yuan's fingers. The second one was even more. End of this chapter. Chapter 672. Lin Yuan looked outside the window. At that moment, a gust of wind blew outside the window, bringing the flowers on the cinnabar sweet osmanthus tree under the window, and a colorful red rain fell on the ground. Looking at the scattered red on the ground, Lin Yuan murmured softly. The Jing family and the Miao family. It seems like the wind is really rising. In a luxurious mansion in the royal capital, 7 or 8 masked attendants in black were reporting to a fat old man who looked like a big meatball. Butler Fu, one of us was sent by you to the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce to scout for information. He hasn't returned until noon today. Steward Fu, one of us was sent by you to the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce to scout for information. He hasn't returned since noon. Butler Fu, one of us was sent by you to the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce to scout for information. He hasn't returned until noon. The fat old man, who looked like a big meatball, was so angry that the fat on his body trembled when he heard the masked man's words. The fat old man said angrily, "You people can't do anything but spoil things. You people can't do anything but spoil things. I let you investigate for such a long time, but you don't have any clue what faction is supporting the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce, let alone figure out this faction's strength. How am I going to explain this to second young master when I return?" Upon hearing the old man's words, the attendant who had taken the lead was clearly angry. Butler Fu, it's true that you're second young master's favorite, but our hidden investigation team is also the Jing family's most outstanding scouting team. Butler Fu, you guaranteed that there were no Emperor-class experts in the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce, so the captain sent us. Otherwise, given our hidden investigation team's ability, we definitely wouldn't be discovered. Before Butler Fu, whose face was full of fats, could say anything, a strong and slightly weathered voice sounded. Is this an internal strife? Your Jing family is wantonly investigating the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce that our young master supports. This is disrespectful to our young master. Wantonly killing people in the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce has violated our young master's taboo, so you should pay the same price as the person killed. When this strong voice echoed, a man wearing golden light armor and a strange mask appeared in the center of the room. The golden-armored man had a small purple snake coiled around his hand. The small snake had 6 colored heads. Although the blue head was still growing in the center, the size of the black head on the small snake's body was already vaguely comparable to the blue head. He didn't waste time talking to the Zheng family. He lowered his head and said to the purple demon on his wrist, "Violet demon, let's eat." As soon as he finished speaking, the room was filled with snake shadows. The snake flashed, and the 7 or 8 masked attendants and the fat old man entered the violet demon's stomach. It was as if they had never appeared. Before he left, he urged the spiritual power in his body to form a blade-like cyclone and wrote on the table in the room. The royal capital, the Zheng family's tomb. Ostrich Logistics was a faction supported by the Radiance officials, and the most basic thing was the ability to keep secrets. He had never heard of Ostrich Logistics leaking any information about the movement of resources between any forces and individuals. Lin Yuan had his own courier, Neng. Therefore, as long as there were orders related to Lin Yuan, Neng would be fully responsible for issuing and receiving them. He did not need to worry at all. Not long after, Neng had already delivered the drought sand boar of the cyan half-armored woman who had just drawn the white card from the fate letter. After Neng delivered the package to Lin Yuan, she handed him a form with a face full of vigor. "Mr. Deep Mountain Elder Lin, Neng has been your personal courier for half a year. Ostrich Logistics conducts an assessment for private couriers every 6 months. Deep Mountain Elder Lin, please give Neng a score first." As she spoke, Neng took off the half-covered leather gloves she had been wearing. He took out an extremely tough card made of unknown leather and handed it to Lin Yuan. When Lin Yuan took the card from Neng, he could see the nervousness and anticipation in her eyes. The look in Neng's eyes made Lin Yuan involuntarily recall the time when he had been in the Xia region store, when he had seen Uncle Li's braised pork in the lunchbox. Lin Yuan took the card and saw that there weren't many topics on it. However, Ostrich Logistics was obviously very strict with the evaluation of private couriers. There were detailed star rating standards even before the topic was selected. Lin Yuan rated all of Neng's stars on the card as 5 stars. Then he handed the card to Neng. "I'm very satisfied with Neng's performance in the past 6 months. I'm very happy that Neng can become my exclusive courier." Neng's face was originally very nervous, but now that she had received such great recognition from Lin Yuan, she felt very happy. A pure smile appeared on Neng's face. Neng casually snapped her fingers, and 3 petite insect species fays were summoned. It danced around Neng's fingers. Neng waved at Lin Yuan. "Thank you, Mr. Deep Mountain Elder Lin, for his recognition of Neng. Neng will go back first. From now on, Neng will be in charge of Mr. Deep Mountain Elder Lin's safety. Neng's bullets will extinguish the enemy's pain." Neng was so happy that she snapped her fingers a few times. All of a sudden, there was a loud bang, and the insect species fay flying around Neng's finger shot out a beam of light. The beam of light directly penetrated the card in Neng's hand, leaving a hole on the card. Neng quickly hid the card behind her in embarrassment. She said shyly and awkwardly as she scratched her purplish-red hair with her other hand. Neng only occasionally misfires, and most misfires only happen when facing enemies. When Lin Yuan saw the fay that Neng had casually summoned, his pupils suddenly contracted. Lin Yuan remembered that when he had first met Neng in the Xia region store, her 2 fays had been a silver scattershot insect and a gold armor-piercing insect. Now, Neng's shotgun beetle and armor-piercing beetle had evolved into fantasy breeds. The silver shotgun bug had evolved into a gold fantasy breed light rain bullet bug. The gold armor-piercing beetle had evolved into a gold fantasy breed instant death beetle. There was also a bronze overload worm, which Neng had probably contracted not long ago. This was because the size of the overload worm showed that it had just passed its infancy stage. Back in the Xia region, Lin Yuan had been surprised by Ning's age and strength. Now, it seemed that in addition to Ning's amazing talent, his strength was even on par with Meng Su, the main member of the Barbarian Snake Club whom he had defeated previously. Lin Yuan finally knew why Ning was representing the Ostrich Guild, one of the Class A guild clubs, in the S tournament. If a spirit chi professional wanted to have luxurious phase when they were young, apart from their innate talents, they had to be extremely talented. They also needed resources. It seemed that Ning's identity in Ostrich logistics was not simple. After sending Ning off, Lin Yuan took the phase storage box that Ning had brought and entered the spirit lock spatial zone. The first one was even better. Button wanted to ask everyone if they felt that Lin Yuan should be more decisive in killing. End of this chapter. Chapter 701. Lin Yuan was not a creation master in the traditional sense. However, Lin Yuan had been using his own abilities to do things that only creation masters could do. This made Lin Yuan the same as ordinary creation masters, who had a strong desire to explore unknown items. Not to mention an unknown sacred source life form. Alright, I'll follow you to the Celestial Council to take a look. Lin Yuan did not ask about the Celestial Body Council's other matters regarding sacred source life forms. In any case, when he arrived at the Celestial Council, Wen Yu would be able to give him a clear answer. Wen Yu stood up and said, "Young master, the Celestial Body Council needs to go through a ceremony before it can be held. This ceremony consumes a large amount of psychic spirit materials. Therefore, before the ceremony, we need to prepare the psychic spirit materials needed for the ceremony." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan revealed a smile on his face. "That's easy. Someone will send us the psychic spirit materials soon." When Lin Yuan handed over the 100 bronze/flawless angelfish of bliss to the blissful sea tribe, which had been enhanced from bronze/flawless to epic during the gestation period, the blissful sea tribe was shocked. The blissful sea tribe generously expressed its gratitude for Lin Yuan's quick fey enhancement and gave him a batch of high-quality fish coats to express its gratitude. Lin Yuan wasn't very interested in this batch of fish coats. In his opinion, the fish coats of the angelfish of bliss that the Sea of Bliss bred by the Sea of Bliss would never be better than the fish coats of the angelfish of bliss that he would rear in the hidden Wyrm lake. After all, he could guarantee that every bronze angelfish of bliss in the hidden Wyrm lake would reach epic quality. But now, it seemed that the fish coat that the Sea of Bliss had sent had helped him a lot. Otherwise, he would not know where to find the sacred source lifeforms and the spiritual type spiritual ingredients needed for the Celestial Council's ritual. Just as Wen Yu was curious about the spiritual type spiritual ingredients that Lin Yuan had mentioned, Lin Yuan's exclusive courier, Ning, had arrived at the mansion's entrance. This time, Ning held a total of 10 platinum fey storage boxes. After receiving the goods from Ning, Lin Yuan and Wen Yu brought the 10 platinum fey storage boxes into the mansion. Lin Yuan took out 200 complete rainbow fish armors from a fey storage box. These fish coats had all been removed from adult supreme grade angelfish of bliss. As soon as he took it out, he felt the spiritual energy contained in it. Wen Yu said as she sensed the spiritual energy in the fish cloaks. "Young master, the ceremony before the Celestial Council holds will require about 50 of these fish suits. The pre-ceremony will take half an hour. I'll go to the training room to communicate with the celestial bodies." "Young master, please come directly to the training room in half an hour." Lin Yuan nodded. "I'll check the angelfish of bliss in the other spirit storage boxes. Wen Yu, if you have time, apart from managing Sky City's private territory, investigate the movements of the Blissful Ocean clan and the Miao family's beast creation garden." Wen Yu was just about to agree when Lin Yuan spoke again. "While you're at it, organize the Sun family's Do Immortal Garden specific information and see if there are any important members of the Sun family who have large amounts of rotten flesh." Wen Yu nodded with a smile. "Young master, leave it to me. Master, Lord Mystic Moon has already raised my contracted source paper to the peak of the gold level. I can organize the information much faster than before." I'll be able to organize the information you need within 3 days. After saying that, Lin Yu stored the 50 fish suits on the ground into the lotus bracelet-shaped diamond face storage box on her wrist and prepared to go to the breeding room for the pre-ceremony before the Celestial Council. After Lin Yu left, Lin Yuan poured a cup of 3 treasures tea from the teapot. After drinking the 3 treasures tea to lift his spirits, Lin Yuan started to check the 100 platinum angelfish of bliss that the Blissful Ocean clan had sent. The bronze supreme grade angelfish of bliss was only the size of half of Lin Yuan's palm. Even if the angelfish of bliss reached platinum, it would still only be the size of half of Lin Yuan's arm. The platinum angelfish of bliss was slightly smaller than the spirit siphon goldfish that had awakened the dragon species bloodline. However, it had to be said that the platinum angelfish of bliss was definitely worthy of the name Blissful Immortal. The fish spread its wings and swam like an immortal crane that was glowing with sunlight. The fish folded its wings and swayed its tail, making it look like a celestial maiden in a rainbow dress. It was very beautiful. However, when Lin Yuan saw the color of the scales on the 100 angelfish of bliss, he frowned slightly. More than half of the 100 platinum angelfish of bliss were glowing with 5-colored radiance, while a small portion were glowing with 4-colored radiance. After Lin Yuan checked all of the 100 angelfish of bliss, he realized that none of them had 7-colored scales. This also meant that these angelfish of bliss were all high-quality and mid-quality adult platinum angelfish of bliss. Lin Yuan let out a cold laugh. When he had traded with the Blissful Ocean clan, he hadn't said that he would let the Blissful Ocean clan use the supreme grade adult angelfish of bliss for the trade. He had only said that it would depend on the Blissful Ocean clan's sincerity. Now, Lin Yuan had seen the Blissful Ocean clan's sincerity. Now, Lin Yuan finally knew why the Blissful Ocean clan had sent so many fish suits that were mostly glowing with 6-colored, while a few were glowing with 7-colored. The Blissful Ocean clan had sent so many high-quality fish suits to cover up Lin Yuan's mouth. Originally, Lin Yuan thought that Gao Feng wanted to mess with the Blissful Ocean clan, and he was merely kicked out of the Blissful Ocean clan's private territory. Wasn't it a little too ruthless for him to plot against the entire Blissful Ocean clan and cause the entire Blissful Ocean clan to fail? However, the Blissful Ocean clan's shameless actions made Lin Yuan feel that his actions weren't ruthless at all. Although these 100 adult platinum angelfish of bliss weren't supreme grade, Lin Yuan still planned to rear them in the hidden Wyrm Lake. The hidden Wyrm Lake was so huge, but the platinum angelfish of bliss were so small. Even if he were to rear these 100 angelfish of bliss that weren't supreme grade, it wouldn't consume a lot of space. Furthermore, Lin Yu would need to consume 50 sets of fish suits every week. When an angelfish of bliss reached adulthood, no matter how well they were reared, they would need to take off their fish suits once a month. This meant that if Lin Yuan wanted to satisfy Lin Yu's consumption of 50 sets of fish suits every week, which was over 200 sets of fish suits a month, he would need over 200 angelfish of bliss. This was not a small burden for the manor at the moment. After all, the mansion's free laborer, Master Duanli, could only concoct 300 sets of platinum water potions in 2 months. This would allow 300 angelfish of bliss to reach platinum and become adults. It could be said that the 200 sets of fish suits that the Blissful Ocean clan had sent to seal Lin Yuan's mouth had really solved Lin Yuan's urgent problem. The second one was even better. End of this chapter. Chapter 702. Even if the Sea of Bliss had the intention of using the fish coat to offset the low grade of the angelfish of bliss, it would be the same as exchanging a consumable resource for a sustainable resource. However, this behavior was equivalent to exchanging consumable resources for sustainable resources. It was the same as exchanging fish for a fishing rod. Lin Yuan took a huge basin and poured a lot of water into it. He then placed his hand in the basin and circulated his spiritual power, purifying the spiritual power in the world before channeling it into the water. This process lasted for 10 minutes before Lin Yuan stopped. He took out the high-grade angelfish of bliss with colorful scales from the platinum phase storage box and placed them in the basin. Even though these high-grade angelfish of bliss had grown into adults, they had been in the phase storage box during the transportation process and had started to look sickly. If Lin Yuan hadn't channeled pure spirit qi into the basin for 10 minutes, these angelfish of bliss would have sunk to the bottom of the basin and wouldn't want to swim anymore. These angelfish of bliss, which had become a little withered during the transportation process, came into contact with the spirit qi water. Furthermore, they were affected by the 3-mountain river eternal life carp's exclusive skill, place of life, and they immediately became lively. Lin Yuan used his hand to circulate spiritual power and placed his palm on these platinum angelfish of bliss to conduct a detailed examination. The angelfish of bliss were separated into males and females, and the first 2 males were considered normal. However, when he examined the 3rd female fish, Lin Yuan's face suddenly darkened. When the Sea of Bliss had traded for the supreme grade angelfish of bliss, they had actually destroyed the reproductive organs of the adult angelfish of bliss. This caused the female angelfish of bliss in Lin Yuan's hands to no longer be able to spawn during the flood season. Lin Yuan's face darkened as he split the 100 adult angelfish of bliss into 20 batches and examined them one by one. He then discovered that apart from the 30 males, 70 of the females had their reproductive organs destroyed. Lin Yuan was so angry that he laughed. Since the Sea of Bliss had schemed against him and tampered with his transaction, it seemed like he couldn't just use the gentle method of monopolizing the aurora pollen to deal with the Sea of Bliss. He had to add some other information to the Sea of Bliss. After examining the 100 adult platinum angelfish of bliss, Lin Yuan used about 15 minutes. However, it wasn't a solution to keep them in the phase storage box. These delicate angelfish of bliss might have died while being locked in the phase storage box. He took the 10 platinum phase storage boxes and jogged all the way to the hidden Wyrm lake, which was being expanded. The water in the hidden Wyrm lake came from an underground spring, so no matter how big the hidden Wyrm lake was, there was no need to worry about not having enough water. Moreover, the water in the spring would circulate through the rock walls beside the lake. Even though the hidden dragon lake was under construction, the water was still very clear. Under the watchful eyes of Hu Quan and the 200 Class 3 spirit craftsmen, Lin Yuan poured 100 adult platinum angelfish of bliss from 10 platinum phase storage boxes into the hidden flood dragon lake. 100 angelfish of bliss entered the hidden dragon lake, and Blackie immediately found a playmate. He chased after this fish for a while, then another, and even used his tail to stir up waves and toss the angelfish of bliss out of the water. Just like an annoying naughty child. However, Lin Yuan knew that Blackie had a sense of propriety, so he didn't bother about it. With the Mountain River Eternal Life Carp's exclusive skill, place of life, even if the 100 angelfish of bliss lacked spirit qi, the production of fish coats would slow down. However, he would not die like in the phase storage box. Under the dumbfounded gazes of Hu Quan and the 200 spirit craftsmen, Lin Yuan greeted Hu Quan and ran back into the mansion. He hurried upstairs to the training room. At that moment, a Class 3 spirit craftsman trotted to Hu Quan's side and asked respectfully. "Master Hu Quan, is the person who just came the young master?" "That's 100 adult angelfish of bliss." Before the Class 3 spirit craftsman could finish speaking, he saw Hu Quan looking at him with a faint smile. Subsequently, the 3-star spirit craftsman was slapped on the neck by Hu Quan and cursed. "That's my young master. Do you think you're worthy of being called young master? Or do you think that you're the only knowledgeable one here, and that others can't recognize that it's an angelfish of bliss? Work hard and try to finish the construction of the hidden dragon lake in half a month. It's not in vain for the young master to gather all the materials needed for the hidden dragon lake in one day." The Class 3 spirit craftsman, who had been slapped on the neck by Hu Quan, was not angry. Instead, he was abnormally happy. Looking at the other 199 Class 3 spirit craftsmen, Lu Tong felt that the other Class 3 spirit craftsmen were simply fools. There would only be more and more Class 3 spirit craftsmen in the Heavenly Craft Pavilion in the future, so many that even Master Hu Quan would not be able to remember them. If he could be slapped twice a day by Master Hu Quan, it would be considered as leaving an impression on him. At the very least, he would not be unaware of his existence in the end. Anyway, when it came to diligence and loyalty, he would not lose to anyone. Sooner or later, he would be valued by Master Hu Quan and might even be chosen by the young master to serve the young master directly. Lin Yuan arrived at the training room's door. Before he pushed it open, he felt the majestic spiritual energy inside. After pushing the door open, Lin Yuan saw the 50 rainbow-colored fish robes burning with rainbow-colored flames. A rainbow-colored door that led to an unknown place was interwoven in the air. What Lin Yuan, who was in the training room, did not know was that the moment the rainbow-colored door emitted light. Even at noon, when the sun was high in the sky, all the stars in the sky twinkled in that instant. However, under the light of the radiant sun, the bright starlight appeared very inconspicuous. Lin Yuan asked Wen Yu, "Are we going to step through this door?" Wen Yu shook her head and said, "Young master, this door is the Celestial Council's material exchange portal. It's just that the exchange of materials in the Celestial Council requires the consumption of willpower and rules as a medium, so it can't be used easily. Young master, if we want to enter the Celestial Body Council, all we need to do is sleep beside this door." After she said that, Lin Yuan saw that she had placed 2 chairs beside the 7-colored door. Lin Yuan walked over and sat on the chair. "That's great. I'm so sleepy after not sleeping for 6 days." After saying that, Lin Yuan closed his eyes and rested on the chair. Soon, he started to snore. Wen Yu looked at Lin Yuan. Even though this was the first time she had used the sacred source life form, the celestial body assembly, she relaxed. The moment Wen Yu sat on the chair and fell asleep, 2 figures suddenly appeared in a hall with a vast starry sky as the background. However, when Wen Yu saw the figure beside her, she was so dumbfounded that her eyeballs almost fell to the ground. This was because Wen Yu found that this figure was woven from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 willpower. Moreover, these 8 willpower weaved into the figure, and for some reason, it was filled with countless laws. The third one, end of this chapter. Chapter 703. As the owner of the sacred source life form, there was probably no one in this world who understood the Celestial Council better than Wen Yu. The most basic requirement to invite a spirit chi professional into the Celestial Council through a ritual in reality was that the spirit chi professional had to be able to comprehend a willpower rune. For those who could not comprehend a willpower rune, even if Wen Yu was the owner of the Celestial Council, there was no way to force them into the Celestial Council. Seeing that Lin Yuan's body in the Celestial Council was weaved by 8 wills, it meant that he had comprehended a total of 8 willpower runes. Wen Yu, who had always been by Lin Yuan's side as his right-hand man, could not help but feel that the current situation was too unbelievable. Wen Yu had always thought that Lin Yuan had comprehended about 4 willpower runes at most. She did not expect that Lin Yuan had comprehended more than twice as many willpower runes. She had not used this opportunity to enter the Celestial Council and coincidentally found out that Lin Yuan had comprehended 8 willpower runes according to the Celestial Council's rules. Given Lin Yuan's low profile, he would not have shown it at all. However, Wen Yu could not understand what was going on with the countless law powers in Lin Yuan's body weaved by 8 wills. Law powers represented myth breed phase. After knowing that Lin Yuan had comprehended 8 willpower runes, even if Lin Yuan's Fei had really reached the level of a myth breed, Wen Yu would only feel shocked. She would not find it unbelievable. However, even if Lin Yuan really had a myth breed Fei, he should not have so many different law powers. Moreover, these law powers were very strange. A few of them were obviously much more powerful. It was like a gorgeous huge bouquet in the center of a garden. There were some inconspicuous rules around the bouquet that looked like tiny flowers, decorating the scenery around the bouquet. The remaining more detailed laws were just a background board in a corner of the garden. However, no matter how weak the nomological power that was used as a backdrop was, it was ultimately a power that only myth breed phase could control. While Wen Yu was shocked, Lin Yuan was also sizing up the surrounding environment. He saw that there were 12 golden thrones in front of the hall with the vast starry sky as the background. The back of each of the 12 huge golden thrones was engraved with a complex totem. However, these 12 thrones were currently dim, as though they were waiting for someone to sit on them. He asked the throne to open the seal and reveal its original appearance. He recalled the sacred source lifeform celestial body assembly's true data and knew that these 12 golden chairs should be the 12 ecliptic constellation thrones mentioned in the celestial body assembly's functional astral soul chair. Below the 12 golden thrones, there were 66 bronze thrones. These 66 chairs were also carved with complicated totems. It was just that the aura of these totems were far weaker than the totems on the 12 ecliptic palaces' constellation thrones. These 66 seats must be the northern and southern constellation seats mentioned in the Celestial Body Council's functional astral soul chair. However, even if he knew what these seats were, he still did not know their functions. He needed to get Wenyu to answer him later. When he looked at Wenyu beside him, he found that she was no longer corporeal. Instead, it was a body condensed from a will that bore and recorded. When he sensed the willpower that made up Wenyu's body, he knew that this willpower should be the willpower that had fused with the elemental source-type source paper when it had evolved into a fantasy breed. He looked down at his own situation again. Based on the true data he had seen before, he had almost figured out the mechanism of entering the Celestial Council. It seemed that entering the Celestial Council was not only related to one's comprehension of willpower, but also to one's soul. A sacred source life form could form a contract with a spirit chi professional, regardless of whether it was a normal contract or a marrow contract. Sacred source life forms would reside in the depths of a spirit chi professional's soul and fuse with it. Lin Yuan was actually able to carry the laws absorbed by the princess's skirt in the Celestial Council. This meant that apart from his will, his soul had also entered the sacred source life form, the Celestial Body Council. Lin Yuan asked. When you mentioned that the exchange of materials in the Celestial Council requires the consumption of rules and will as a medium. What's going on? After saying that, Lin Yuan urged all the laws engraved in his body on the princess's dress. The power of dozens of laws surged out of Lin Yuan's body. The power of the rules intersected and even faintly formed a desolate world that one could not help but immerse in. Lin Yuan spoke again after activating his nomological power. If necessary, I have a lot of rule-bending power here that I can use. Wenyu felt that she could not see Lin Yuan clearly anymore. Lin Yuan, who was urging dozens of laws in front of her, was like a god in her heart. Wenyu recovered from her shock and hurriedly said, "Young master, this is also my first time hosting a celestial body conference. We've only entered the venue of the Celestial Parliament. The Celestial Parliament hasn't officially started yet. Young master, we will only consume our willpower and rules when we use the astral throne. Energy transmission consumes willpower, and physical transmission consumes laws. I only have one willpower rune here. If I use it, I won't be able to enter the sacred source lifeform celestial body assembly. Willpower and rules are of great importance. When the time comes, young master must weigh the pros and cons before deciding whether to consume it or not." Wenyu's words were very straightforward. With Wenyu's current willpower, she was unable to use the Celestial Council's Celestial Soul Chair. Fortunately, as long as one member of the council paid the price, the astral exchange could be used. Lin Yuan, who had mastered so many laws and willpower, could freely use the Star Spirit Throne. It was just that using the Star Spirit Throne would consume his willpower and laws, which was of great importance. Wenyu still had to explain the seriousness of the problem to him. When Lin Yuan heard her words, he still felt that he didn't quite understand. Currently, he and Wenyu were the only two people in the Celestial Council. What was the point of using the Celestial Council's Sacred Source Lifeform and Celestial Spirit Throne? At that moment, Wenyu said, "That's right. Young master, when I first completed the marrow contract with the Celestial Body Council, I could only control one of the 12 main zodiac constellations. One way to raise the celestial body assembly star rank is to consume spiritual-type spiritual materials to feed the celestial body assembly, which is the cat's eye stone on my forehead. Another way, when you looked at Lin Yuan and did not continue speaking. The first one was even worse. End of chapter. Chapter 704. Lin Yuan could not understand why Wen Yu had only said half of what she wanted to say. However, Lin Yuan continued with the first half of Wen Yu's sentence. While you were away from the mansion, I decided to expand the hidden dragon lake in the mansion. Since the Celestial Council requires spiritual-type spiritual ingredients, we can rear thousands of angelfish of bliss in the hidden dragon lake in the future. There will be plenty of fish coats for the Celestial Council to absorb. Wen Yu hurriedly changed the topic. Young Master, Master Black Moon has raised the Celestial Council star class to 1 star. I can control one of the 12 ecliptic constellations' thrones. After saying that, Wen Yu walked up to a golden throne with a complex scale totem on the back of the chair. She directly injected a strand of her will into the throne with the 12 main zodiac constellations engraved with the scale pattern. Following that, the 12 ecliptic constellation thrones engraved with scales changed from their original dusty appearance. They revealed a faint light. This layer of light was like the vast starlight that descended from the stars. In the blink of an eye, the starlight became even more resplendent and rushed into the vast starry sky. Under the guidance of the vast starlight, a huge constellation formed by the stars suddenly appeared in the vast starry sky. The moment the constellation appeared, the scale totem on the back of the throne separated from the throne. In the end, the scale totem simplified into a simple pattern that was imprinted on Wen Yu's neck. Wen Yu said to Lin Yuan, "Young Master, Mystic Realm's sacred source lifeforms are different from ordinary sacred source lifeforms. The owner of the Mystic Realm's sacred source lifeform is only the owner of the Mystic Realm. He does not have absolute control over the Council. The 12 ecliptic constellations' thrones divide up everything in the Council. My scale throne symbolizes balance, and I am responsible for maintaining the Celestial Council's stability. Right now, there's still one of the 12 constellation thrones that can be contracted. Young Master, you can also choose one of the remaining 11 constellation thrones to contract." Lin Yuan roughly understood the role of the 12 ecliptic constellations' thrones in the Celestial Council. Even if one was not the Celestial Council's owner, it was equivalent to forming a contract with one of the 12 ecliptic constellations' thrones. Although it seemed that the contract with the throne of the 12 ecliptic signs seemed to divide the rights of the Celestial Council contractor. However, this also required Wen Yu's approval. After all, in order to sit on the throne of the 12 ecliptic palaces, one needed to obtain Wen Yu's approval. He understood that Wen Yu's actions were akin to sharing the sacred source life form with him. Lin Yuan took a deep look at her and did not refuse. Instead, he asked Wen Yu. These 12 main ecliptic constellation thrones, the Libra constellation represents balance and has been contracted by you. As for the remaining 11 main ecliptic constellation thrones, I do not understand. Which one do you think I should contract with? Speaking of constellations, Lin Yuan was no stranger. In his previous life, many people were obsessed with horoscopes and thought that they could change one's luck. However, Lin Yuan did not know much about these things. However, in his previous life, he had been born in the Virgo constellation, so he had been despised by others due to his horoscope, and his reputation had been ruined. At this moment, he was unwilling to contract the Virgo throne of the 12 ecliptic primary constellation thrones. Upon hearing that, Wen Yu explained. The Aries throne symbolizes a new beginning, the Taurus throne symbolizes power, the Gemini throne symbolizes wisdom, the Cancer throne symbolizes strength, the Leo throne symbolizes authority, the Virgo throne symbolizes beauty, the Scorpio throne symbolizes mystery, the Sagittarius throne symbolizes frankness, the Capricorn throne symbolizes tenacity, the Aquarius throne symbolizes rebellion, and the Pisces throne symbolizes complexity. I have contracted the Libra throne that symbolizes balance. In order to maintain the balance of the Celestial Council during the Celestial Council meeting, I have the authority to propose to kick out those who disrupt the Council's balance. When the time comes, the other 12 ecliptic signs will vote. If half of the votes are passed, it can be carried out. I feel that among the remaining 11 ecliptic primary constellation thrones, young master can contract the Leo throne. The Leo throne symbolizes authority. Those who contract the Leo throne have the right to vote against any proposal during the meeting. Speaking up to this point, when you suddenly revealed a resolute smile. After signing the sacred source life form with the Celestial Council, and you could already communicate with the Celestial Council in the depths of her soul. The first thing the Celestial Council said to Wen Yu was that she had to vacate the throne of Leo constellation, or simply take the throne of Leo constellation herself. This was because the Leo throne symbolized authority and was more like the host of the meeting. However, after knowing the function of the Leo throne, Wen Yu had already thought of leaving the Leo throne, which represented authority, to Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan walked to the golden throne with the lion totem carved on it and placed his hand on the back of the throne. When Lin Yuan injected his will into the Leo throne, a huge lion-shaped constellation formed by stars appeared in the Celestial Council's vast background. As soon as this huge Leo constellation appeared in the sky, it immediately resonated with the totem on the Leo throne. Immediately after, the complicated lion totem turned simple and turned into a lion tail pattern that was imprinted on Lin Yuan's wrist. At that moment, Lin Yuan was considered to have officially integrated into the Celestial Council. He had become an existence with absolute authority in the council. After contracting the Leo throne, Lin Yuan did not need Wen Yu to explain to know the relationship between the Celestial Council's 12 ecliptic constellation thrones and the northern and southern constellation thrones. When using the Celestial Council's function, the astral spirit throne, the people on the 12 ecliptic constellation thrones could give energy and materials to the people on the northern and southern constellation thrones. This consumed willpower and laws. The people on the northern and southern constellation thrones could not take the initiative to exchange energy and resources with the people on the 12 ecliptic constellation thrones. However, they could issue an oath with willpower. This made Lin Yuan a little speechless. He felt that the Celestial Council was like a huge server. Lin Yuan and Wen Yu played the role of the system in the server. It was like the so-called golden fingers of the main characters in fantasy novels in his previous life. They could use energy or materials to make the people on the northern and southern constellation thrones issue an oath to do things for them. However, in Lin Yuan's opinion, the interaction was not equal. The second was even worse. End of this chapter. Chapter 705. If not for the Sacred Source Lifeform's sacred sword embracing queen function, Princess Luo Kun, he would have been able to absorb willpower from fantasy breed phase. By absorbing laws from myth breed law crystals, he could afford the exchange of willpower and laws at the cost of material interaction. If it were anyone else, they would not be willing to exchange resources with willpower and laws that they had comprehended with great difficulty. However, Lin Yuan did not know why Wen Yu, the organizer of the Celestial Council, wanted to hold the Celestial Council. What kind of people would appear on the north-south constellation seats? Lin Yuan asked Wen Yu. When you officially held the Celestial Body Conference, how were these people chosen for the 66 seats of the southern and southern constellations? Upon hearing that, Wen Yu felt a little embarrassed. Young Master, the 12 constellation thrones are based on the Celestial Council star system, but the number of people on the 66 north-south constellation seats is determined by my spiritual energy. Given my current spiritual energy, I can only light up 2 of the north-south constellation seats. This means that when the Celestial Council is held, there will be 2 more people besides me and Young Master. Wen Yu's words made Lin Yuan nod in understanding. At that moment, Wen Yu spoke again. I can't choose the people on the north-south constellation seats of the Celestial Council, but the screening conditions are very strict and can even be said to be a little harsh. Those who can sit on the north-south constellation seats are all people who are willing to exchange everything for something, including power, health, wealth, and even revenge. And these people who are willing to exchange everything for something will only be pulled into the Celestial Council by the 66 north-south constellations when they fall asleep. Upon hearing her words, Lin Yuan nodded in understanding. However, the more he listened to Wen Yu's explanation, the more he felt that these people who were willing to exchange everything for specific things were like the so-called protagonists he had seen in his previous life. They had a goal, dared to give up, and the Celestial Council was similar to a system. Wasn't this the template of a proper protagonist? This made Lin Yuan feel like he was nurturing a protagonist. After explaining clearly to Lin Yuan, Wen Yu sighed softly. Young master, Teacher Mystic Moon said that my spiritual energy talent is not high. I don't know when I can unlock more of the North-South constellation seats. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan gently tapped his fingers on the armrest of the Leo throne. Wen Yu, given your current spiritual energy, how many more fays can you contract? Wen Yu replied. The source paper that young master gave me and the Earth Surge Golden Lotus that the Moon Empress gave me are source-type lifeforms. They are not real fays. Therefore, I only have one sunlight egret. If I contract another one, it shouldn't be a problem for me to contract 3 more fays. Even if I form a contract with a fay, I don't know when I will be able to comprehend another willpower rune. At that point, she recalled that Lin Yuan had comprehended a total of 8 willpower runes. Wen Yu was not jealous of Lin Yuan, but she knew how difficult it was to comprehend willpower runes. She could not help but be shocked by Lin Yuan's talent again. Upon hearing her words, Lin Yuan could not help but secretly calculate in his heart. He planned to take note of a spiritual type fey that was more suitable for Wen Yu's contract. However, Wen Yu's affinity was with heron species fays among the flying species fays. Although there were many powerful heron species fays, they were not very suitable for a talent like Wen Yu's current fey system. It seemed that he still needed to work on long-term memory or source-type items to find a fey for Wen Yu. Lin Yuan now had a lot of source-type items. In the early days, Lin Yuan would check the source-type items he received and put them in brocade boxes. However, ever since he had the legend elemental shellfish to produce heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls in batches in the Spirit Lock spatial zone, he had collected more and more source-type items. As a result, Lin Yuan did not spend much effort to check the contract conditions and abilities of the source-type items in his hands. Lin Yuan planned to put all the source-type items in his hands into the Spirit Lock spatial zone after the Celestial Council ended. He would let Genius, which had evolved into the Internet Beast, record the contract conditions and abilities of each source-type item. When the time came, Lin Yuan only needed to tell Genius what source-type item he wanted to find, and Genius would be able to find it. Wen Yu looked at Lin Yuan, whose hair was faintly dyed golden by the starlight, and said, Young master, the Celestial Council's northern and southern sky constellation seats are very uncertain. Young master, due to the high uncertainty of the people pulled over from the Celestial Council's north-south constellation seats, there might be all kinds of existences. They might even come from a remote continent or a federation that I've never heard of. If young master feels it's inappropriate, I'll use the authority of the Libra constellation to kick them out. If young master feels it's okay, we can preside over the people pulled over by the north-south constellation seats and let them contract with them. Of course, even if these people contract the north-south constellation seats, if young master is not satisfied, we can also vote to kick them out of the contracted seats. Lin Yuan straightened his back upon hearing that. For some reason, he felt a little excited in his heart. Especially after hearing what Wen Yu said, the people who appeared on the north-south constellation seats might come from all kinds of places. This naturally included the continents outside the Radiance Federation. The ethereal jellyfish's exclusive skill, Space Tunnel, had yet to connect with the Divine Wood Federation in the Agawan continent. Lin Yuan had never been to the world outside the Radiance Federation. However, he could now contact people outside the Radiance Federation in this way and even touch the continents other than the Agawan continent where the Divine Wood Federation was located. Lin Yuan could not help but wonder if he could be like the real system. He could deliver resources to the people who appeared on the north-south constellation seats and let sky castles blossom in the corners of other continents. Lin Yuan whispered to Wen Yu, you've been here for a while. Wen Yu has been here for a while. Let's start the celestial body meeting. Upon hearing that, Wen Yu sat on the Libra throne with a solemn expression and began to sing softly. Wen Yu's singing caused the main constellations of Libra and Leo to remain the same in the starry sky background. The other stars quickly rotated, forming one north-south constellation after another. These north-south constellations included Andromeda, Centaurus, Perseus, Delphinus, Ursa Minor, Swordfish. However, because the north-south constellation seats had not been unsealed, the north-south constellations that appeared in the sky were dim. Suddenly, the two north-south constellations, Andromeda and Perseus, lit up with a faint light, guiding two wills into the celestial council. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan turned to look at Wen Yu with some confusion. Wen Yu explained softly. Every seat in the northern and southern sky constellations represents a type of character. This time, the two wills that were drawn over are more compatible with the characters of Andromeda and Hercules constellations. That's why he was drawn to Andromeda constellation and Hercules constellation. He saw two figures intertwined with their willpower land in front of Andromeda's seat. A figure condensed from a sharp shadow will landed in front of Hercules constellation's seat. The third one. End of chapter. Chapter 706. Originally, Bei Su was waiting for death amidst the bone-chilling cold and the pain of his body. When he was struck in the back by the cave shadow panther's wind blade, the piercing pain and the faint cracking sound told Bei Su that his spine had probably cracked from that attack. Bei Su had been mining in the mines since he was young, so he had suffered countless injuries. Therefore, after Bei Su was hit in the back, he judged his injury and knew that he would not survive. The struggle after that was just a subconscious yearning for life. However, just as his consciousness was about to dissipate, Bei Su suddenly realized that he had appeared in a world filled with dazzling stars. Bei Su had heard a legend since he was young. The Stony Continent wasn't just an underground world. The truly powerful and wealthy people of the Stony Continent would live in the oasis at the center of the continent. The oasis at the center of the Stony Continent didn't have astral winds that could easily peel flesh from bones, nor did it have temperatures of 50 to 60 degrees Celsius during the day and minus 30 degrees Celsius at night. There was a federation in that oasis called the Rich Lush Federation. It was said that the people living in the Rich Lush Federation could see stars when they looked up at night. Bei Su had only heard of this legend from his mother when he was young. But because he was overburdened by mining every day, Bei Su didn't have the time to yearn for the Rich Lush Federation or the stars on the surface. But now, not only could Bei Su see the stars, but he was also among them. Bei Su couldn't help but have a thought. Is this the world after death? As soon as this thought appeared, Bei Su noticed a figure next to him. The silhouette formed from willpower stared blankly at him and uttered a silly sentence in a lark-like voice. I can see colors now. After Lin finished a sumptuous dinner with her parents, she was pushed around the garden by her maid, Cece. Lin, who couldn't see, sat in a wheelchair most of the time. Walking around the garden had become Lin's favorite thing to do, apart from reading. She could smell the flowers in the garden and listen to Cece tell her about them. This allowed Lin to better perceive the world through her sense of smell. While smelling the fragrance of the iris flower, Lin couldn't help but think that if she could see the world, she would be willing to exchange everything she had for it. Perhaps it was because they had been strolling in the garden for a long time, but a few gusts of wind made Lin feel sleepy. Unknowingly, Lin fell into a light sleep just like that. The instant she fell asleep, Lin discovered that she had actually arrived in the middle of the stars. Lin's world, which was supposed to be dark, suddenly became bright with stars. Beside him was a bronze chair, surrounded by glittering stars. There were two huge constellations in the sky, and beside him was a human figure formed by a will. Moreover, Lin could clearly see the man and woman sitting on the golden seats with starlight enveloping their bodies like gods. Lin also had dreams, but her dreams were always filled with sounds, smells, and strange shapes. It was a world without color or light. Lin, who had never seen the world with her eyes, did not have the concept of color with just her imagination. But now, Lin clearly knew that she could see colors. This made Lin firmly believe that everything in front of her was not a dream, but reality. Lin Yuan, who was sitting on Leo's throne, raised his brows and looked at Lin, whose body was formed by 2 strands of spirit willpower, in front of Andromeda. He nodded inwardly. The moment Lin entered the Celestial Council, she was able to determine that the world in front of her was real through the difference between the world of the Celestial Council and reality. Even if it was due to her blindness, Lin Yuan still had to marvel at Lin's amazing mental fortitude. On the other hand, the figure called Bei Su, who was formed by the sharp will of the shadow blade next to Lin, was so silly that he thought he had entered the world after death. After Bei Su and Lin were guided to the Celestial Council, Lin Yuan realized that he, who was sitting on the throne of the 12 ecliptic constellations, was really like the system in fantasy. He could faintly feel the basic information carried by Bei Su and Lin's will. He got to know Bei Su and Lin's names, as well as part of their lives. At that moment, Wen Yu, who was beside Lin Yuan, narrowed her eyes and said to Lin Yuan, "This person named Bei Su's life in reality is about to dissipate, so his will is about to disappear from the Celestial Council." Although the Celestial Council was different from the real world, the body that entered the Celestial Council was composed of will and soul. The body in the real world was the carrier of the soul and will. If the body died, then the will and soul would also dissipate from the world. Upon hearing Wen Yu's words, Lin Yuan frowned tightly. Just now, when Bei Su and Lin were in shock, Lin Yuan had roughly seen the first half of their lives through their will. Lin Yuan had roughly seen the first half of Bei Su's and Lin's lives through their wills. It was like watching 2 completely different movies. Although she could not see, Lin's life was happier than most people's. Bei Su's life had been endless repetition. Apart from being sick and unable to move, it was all mining day after day. On the other hand, Bei Su's entire life had been repeating itself endlessly. Other than being unable to move due to illness, he spent all his time mining and working day after day. The survival rule of the underground world's mines was that everyone had to use all their strength to dig the most ores. The rule of survival in the underground world's mines was that everyone had to use all their strength to dig as many ores as possible. Because Bei Su was one of the people with the best physical fitness in the mine, he was usually given the most food. Bei Su dividing the food that belonged to him without permission was equivalent to reducing the amount of work he had to do the next day. He had destroyed the interests of the mine owner. Through Bei Su's will, Lin Yuan was like God, faintly peeking at a corner of the underground world called Cave Continent. It could be said that the Cave Continent's barrenness was far beyond his imagination. The Cave Continent's Spirit Chi professionals did not pursue high-quality bronze phase like the Radiance Federation's Spirit Chi professionals. For ordinary Spirit Chi professionals on the Cave Continent, it was a great thing as long as they had a Fey to contract. They did not have the qualifications to be picky about the Fey's potential and quality. This was because it was very difficult for people to find traces of Feys in the Cave Continent's underground world. Most of the rare Feys were controlled by the aristocratic factions and wouldn't fall into the hands of people like Bei Su, who were born to mine. The first one was even worse. End of chapter. Chapter 707. Lin Yuan could not bear to see Bei Su, who was about to die. It was not that Lin Yuan was a good person because he had compassion. Instead, Lin Yuan had seen through Bei Su's will that Bei Su still had a warm soul that faced the light in such an environment. Apart from strength, Lin Yuan's private faction, Sky City, often valued character more. Bei Su's character had undoubtedly met Lin Yuan's requirements. Since the Celestial Council had given Bei Su the chance to be the main character and Lin Yuan the chance to be the system, in that case, he planned to make good use of this opportunity. According to the plot in his previous life, even a pig could become a tyrant with the existence of the system. And Bei Su was not a pig. Bei Su had comprehended a willpower rune at the age of 22, which was considered pretty good in the Radiance Federation. In the Cave Continent's underground world, where even Feys were scarce, Lin Yuan was confident that he could easily nurture Bei Su as the system. Lin Yuan said to Wen Yu, "Let's use the astral throne." Upon hearing that, Wen Yu knew that Lin Yuan wanted to treat Bei Su, just like how he had casually saved her. The Celestial Council could conduct material exchange, and healing required the transmission of life energy, which was an energy exchange. As a price, Lin Yuan had to pay a portion of his willpower. This matter was of great importance, so Wen Yu reminded him again. "Young master, the exchange of energy requires willpower as the price." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan nodded. Upon seeing Lin Yuan's nod, Wen Yu did not say anything else and activated the Celestial Council's Star Spirit Chair. On the other hand, Lin Yuan released the Jasmine Lily's bud of Mountain Jade's vitality toward Bei Su. Immediately afterward, the Leo constellation above Lin Yuan's head absorbed the vitality he released. After that, the main constellation of Leo moved to the top of Bei Su's head and sprinkled the life energy released by the Jasmine Lily onto Bei Su. During the conduction of the vitality energy, Lin Yuan chose to consume the willpower extracted from the dark spirit eye tadpole's flesh. As a result, he found that 1/6 of the willpower extracted from the Diamond 8/Fantasy 3 dark spirit eye tadpole was consumed. Such willpower consumption made Lin Yuan's heart ache. It could be said that the price of exchanging resources in the Celestial Council was extremely high. However, Lin Yuan was stunned. He was shocked to find that his willpower, which was the price of exchanging resources, was actually moving toward the cat's eye stone on Wen Yu's forehead. This made Lin Yuan realize that the Celestial Council could also absorb the willpower and laws that other people needed to pay to interact with matter and energy to carry out the evolution. Lin Yuan had felt the pinch from the consumption of his willpower, but if he could use this method to increase the Celestial Council star rank, if he could use this method to increase Wen Yu's Sacred Source Lifeform star, after all, Lin Yuan's Sacred Source Lifeform, the Sacred Sword-wielding Queen, was an existence that used willpower and laws as a toy. It could easily extract willpower and laws from dead fantasy breed phase and myth breed phase law crystals. Lin Yuan could to exchange with the resources. Su could not other people Su to, but he could not to know, could. The transfer of life energy did not affect Bei Su's will and soul, so Bei Su, who was in the Celestial Council, did not feel the slightest difference. However, the change of the celestial bodies made Bei Su and Yin Lin recover from their initial shock. At that moment, Bei Su and Yin Lin heard a clear female voice. "Welcome to the Celestial Council." Bei Su and Yin Lin followed the voice and saw Wen Yu sitting on the throne of the Libra constellation. However, their eyes were immediately attracted by Lin Yuan, who was sitting on the throne of the Leo constellation. Lin Yuan had once again used the star spirit trading function to continue to inject vitality into Yin Lin's body in the real world. The Jasmine Lily's exclusive skill, Severed Growth, could allow destroyed things to grow again according to the potential genetic model. As long as Yin Lin's genetic model was not innately deficient in the eyes, the Jasmine Lily's exclusive skill could heal her. However, Lin Yuan could sense that Yin Lin's memories mainly came from her willpower. For as long as Yin Lin could remember, she had always been blind. Therefore, Lin Yuan could not be sure if the genetic model of Yin Lin's eyes was complete, so he had only injected a small portion of vitality. If the genetic model of Yin Lin's eyes was not deficient, she would at least be able to see light and roughly judge the shape and color of objects when she returned to the real world. If it was effective, Lin Yuan could help Yin Lin with comprehensive treatment the next time she entered the Celestial Council. In the process of consuming willpower, Lin Yuan wanted to release the willpower and laws engraved in the princess's dress. The majestic aura of willpower and laws deeply shocked Bei Su, who had always been in the barren underground world, and Yin Lin, who had just been able to see the light again. At that moment, Lin Yuan heard Yin Lin and Bei Su ask in unison. "What's going on here? Who are you?" Lin Yuan did not immediately answer Yin Lin and Bei Su's question because he found that Wen Yu, who was sitting on the throne of the Libra constellation, was already giving him a look with a pale face. The light of the cat's eye stone on her forehead had also become a little dim. Lin Yuan knew that this should be the reason why her spiritual energy was about to be exhausted. The Celestial Council also had a time limit, and when you had spent too much time explaining the Celestial Council world to him. Lin Yuan remembered what Wen Yu had told him before. He stood up with the huge Leo constellation above his head and said to Yin Lin and Bei Su, before entering the Celestial Council, "You all have dreams that you have to achieve even if you have to give up everything. If you go back on your word, just treat this meeting as a trip in the sky in your sleep. If you don't go back on your word, you will enter the Celestial Council again in your sleep at this time a week later. The next time you come to the Celestial Council, bring your conditions and fulfill the corresponding obligations. Of course, even if you go back on your word, I have already given you a small gift for this trip in your dream. I hope you like it." Before Bei Su and Yin Lin could speak, Lin Yuan's voice had just faded. Bei Su and Yin Lin disappeared from the Celestial Council. There was a layer of sweat on Wen Yu's face as she spoke to Lin Yuan weakly. The second one, end of this chapter. Chapter 708. Young Master, given my current spiritual energy, half an hour is the limit for a celestial conference. Yin Lin and Bei Su have received guidance from Andromeda and Hercules. Next time, as long as they are asleep, I can give priority guidance to them. But will young master and the others sleep obediently at this time a week later? Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan revealed a confident smile. They definitely will, and they will look forward to next week's arrival. A few gusts of biting cold wind caused Bei Su, who was lying on top of the stone pillar, to open his eyes. Bei Su opened his eyes and subconsciously sat up. After sitting up, Bei Su suddenly realized that his back had been clawed by the cave's shadow leopard. If he sat up rashly, his injuries would worsen. However, after getting up, Bei Su realized that his back did not hurt at all. As long as there were no glowing ores in the underground world, it would always be in darkness. This caused Bei Su to be unable to see his body clearly. However, after feeling around, Bei Su realized that his injuries had completely recovered. The changes in his body made Bei Su recall the man and woman sitting on the golden thrones in his dream, as well as the words that the godlike man had said to him under the vast starry sky. All of a sudden, Bei Su clenched his fists tightly. His eyes flashed with excitement, surprise, and excitement. Bei Su murmured softly, "Celestial Conference. Celestial Conference." Then, Bei Su sorted out the memories in his dream and carefully climbed down the stone pillar. Bei Su's recovered body floated along the rapid flow of the underground river, leaving only his head above the water surface. He prepared to find a suitable landing spot in the darkness and climb ashore. The cave world might be barren, but there were plenty of root plants and sandworms. Bei Su decided to find some sandworms and plant roots to fill his stomach so that he could survive for the next few days. He quietly waited for the Celestial Conference to open a week later and was once again pulled to that mysterious and vast starry sky. At the same time, Bei Su thought of his own conditions. Bei Su wanted a fae that he could contract. Otherwise, he would not be able to take revenge for his father, mother, and big sister. It would be a problem to rely on himself to survive in the underground world. Yin Lin, who was sleeping lightly on the wheelchair, suddenly heard Cece's soft voice. "Miss, it's windy in the garden. If you're sleepy, you'd better sleep in the bedroom. Although it's still a little early, Miss can still read for an hour before tea if she wakes up now." Hearing Cece's voice, Yin Lin suddenly realized that the world in front of her was no longer pitch black. Instead, she could feel light. This sudden change reminded Yin Lin of the place called the Celestial Council that she had just been in. Yin Lin, who had always been calm, couldn't help but tremble slightly, but she still calmly said, "Cece, take me back to my room." After being sent back to the room by Cece, Yin Lin, who was lying on the bed, tremblingly stretched out her hand and untied the white ribbon covering her eyes. After opening her eyes, Yin Lin's eyes suddenly rolled down with big drops of tears. Although Yin Lin still couldn't see a clear world, Yin Lin's world now had light. He could see the outlines and colors of objects. This was an extravagant hope that Lin didn't even dare to think about before. Lin, who usually had the habit of taking afternoon naps, was not sleepy at all. Instead, she looked around curiously. When she recalled the words of the godlike man in the council, Lin softly murmured, "Let me feel the light of the world. Is this the small gift you mentioned?" Lin hurriedly shook the bell tied to the ribbon in front of the bed. The sound of the bell made the maid Cece, who was guarding outside, open the door and enter Lin's room. When she walked to Lin's side, she saw that Lin had untied the ribbon tied to her eyes for some reason. Cece hurriedly asked worriedly, "Miss, are your eyes uncomfortable?" But when she met Lin's eyes, Cece couldn't help but tremble. Her legs couldn't help but turn to jelly. Cece swore that she had never seen such a clear and beautiful pair of lake-like light green eyes in her life. Looking at Lin, who had opened her eyes, two words suddenly appeared in Cece's mind. Fairy. At that moment, Cece heard Lin chuckle softly. Then, Cece felt Lin's hand on the bow tie on her neck and asked curiously. She asked curiously, "Cece, is this blue?" Cece subconsciously replied, "Yes, miss, this is blue." But after answering Lin's question, Cece froze on the spot. Then Cece asked in surprise, "Miss, can your eyes feel light and see color?" When Lin heard this, he smiled and said without answering the question, "Cece was right before. Blue is really the color of good mood." Lin, who was extremely sensitive to emotions, found that Cece's breathing had become a little chaotic at this time. Then, Lin heard Cece cry with joy. "Miss, it's great that you can see. Master and Madam will be so happy if they know." Lin reached up along Cece's bow tie with her hand, and her fingertips directly touched Cece's warm tears. Lin, who could feel light and see color, could only see Cece's outline. At this time, Lin was far more eager to see the world clearly than before when she couldn't see anything. Lin softly muttered the words "Celestial Council" in her heart. Then, Lin thought about her conditions. Lin wanted to be able to see the world clearly. She wanted to see Cece crying tears of joy, her father, mother, and grandfather butler. Feeling the light, Lin thanked the man in the Celestial Council who said he would give her a small gift. In Lin's heart, this small gift was the most precious gift she had ever received. After calming down for a while, Lin gently caressed Cece's face and said, "Cece, remind me not to sleep at night 6 days later. Cece, remind me not to sleep at night 6 days later. On the 7th day, I want to sleep for the whole day starting from the morning. Alright, take me to see Daddy and Mommy now. I want to see what color Mommy's strawberry jam is." Lin Yuan, who had woken up from the training room chair, looked at the weak-looking Wen Yu who had just woken up. "In a while, let Big Brother Lu take off the fish coat of the supreme-grade angelfish of bliss and roast it for you. When your mental strength is too exhausted, you can eat some roasted fish coat to restore your mental strength." Upon hearing this, Wen Yu nodded and asked worriedly, "Young master, is it really okay for you to exhaust your willpower in the Celestial Council?" Lin Yuan shook his head. "This kind of consumption is nothing to me. On the contrary, if the Celestial Council absorbs the willpower and consumes the fish coat, which will increase more?" Upon hearing this, Wen Yu carefully calculated for a while before replying. "Young master, using the Star Spirit Throne to pay for willpower twice is more effective than using 40 fish coats." Wen Yu looked at Lin Yuan's expression and saw that it did not change. After confirming that paying willpower was indeed not a problem for Lin Yuan, he was relieved. Upon hearing Wen Yu's words, Lin Yuan felt that he should use the Star Spirit Throne to consume willpower and laws in the Celestial Council. He should quickly raise the Celestial Council star rank for Wen Yu's Sacred Source life form. Third, more. Seeking monthly votes and recommendation votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 709. In fact, consuming willpower and laws in the Celestial Council would not only help when you increase the Celestial Council's star rank, but it would also be beneficial to Lin Yuan. When Lin Yuan let Princess absorb a large amount of willpower and laws, it was inevitable that she would absorb willpower and laws that were very similar. The world formed by the laws in Princess Dress was composed of objects that were the embodiment of laws and willpower. These very similar wills and laws could not fuse within the princess skirt, so the objects that evolved from similar wills and laws would often clash with each other within the princess skirt. Just like the handful of law crystal fragments he had obtained from Duan He had divided them into 5 piles, which came from 5 myth breed phase. One of them, the gilded flame dragon lice, had comprehended the scorching law. When Lin Yuan had traded with Sun Ningxiang had given him the law crystal fragments in advance out of her trust in Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan had also absorbed the law crystal fragments that Sun Ningxiang had given to Princess and condensed many pure law crystals that were like broken diamonds. Among the law crystal fragments that Lin Yuan had traded with Sun Ningxiang, there was also a fire-type myth breed roasted armored ladybug. This roasted armored ladybug comprehended the scorching law. The gilded flame dragon lice comprehended the scorching law and the roasted armored ladybug comprehended the scorching law. However, the scorching law focused on the temperature of flames, while the scorching law focused on the burning effect of flames. The two similar laws were almost different in terms of characteristics, which caused the evolution of the world to begin to affect each other. Among them, the scorching law from the gilded flame dragon lice was more complete than the roasted armored ladybug scorching law. Therefore, Lin Yuan could leave only one of the similar laws in the princess skirt that could not be fused and had a conflict in expression. This way, it would not affect the image that the laws in the world had evolved. Lin Yuan's consumption of the laws in the Celestial Council was equivalent to screening the laws that Princess Dress had inscribed without hesitation. It allowed the laws inscribed on Princess Dress to go through a process of extracting the essence and discarding the dregs. This process could ensure the quality of the laws inscribed on Princess Dress. Of course, this was the same for willpower. As he began to obtain a large number of law crystal fragments from Duan He and Sun Ningxiang, he began to look down on the willpower he obtained from fantasy breed phase. But now, it seemed that the sacred sword-wielding queen still needed to grasp both the rules and willpower. After all, as Wen Yu's mental strength improved in the future, more and more people from the Celestial Council would enter. The consumption of willpower was absolutely unavoidable. For example, although the heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls were physical objects, they were essentially pure elemental energy polymers that were extremely concentrated. Under the resource exchange of the Celestial Council Star Spirit Chair function, Lin Yuan had to contribute willpower and not rules. If Lin Yuan defined the Celestial Council's side as the system, then the people who had been introduced into the Celestial Council by the northern and southern constellations would be the protagonists. As the system, Lin Yuan wanted the protagonists to build sky castles on their respective continents. Every sky castle built by the protagonist was like a spark. When the spark burned to a certain extent, the sky castle would be like a star. It was possible for it to burn through the boundary and merge with another sky city. Finally, the map of the entire sky castle was connected. In order to complete this idea, as the system, Lin Yuan had to devote resources to the protagonists. Coincidentally, the most precious resource that Lin Yuan had was the heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls. Therefore, Lin Yuan wanted to let the sacred sword queen absorb more willpower in case of emergencies. In order to let the sacred sword queen absorb the willpower, he had to find the dead fantasy breed phase body. Lin Yuan did not think that it would be difficult to find the dead fantasy breed phase body. Lin Yuan could not help but think. I can get the law crystal fragments in a myth breed phase body. The dead fantasy breed phase body should not be rarer than the law crystal fragments, right? Lin Yuan had cooperated with the Sun family's Dew Immortal Garden and the Blissful Sea clan. Even if the Blissful Sea clan had cheated Lin Yuan, they were still in a cooperative relationship. Lin Yuan felt that if he used the Sun family's Dew Immortal Garden and the Blissful Sea clan's power to help him collect the dead fantasy breed phase body, both sides should be willing. After all, Lin Yuan had taken out the resources of a Class 4 or even a Pinnacle Class 4 Creation Master. Since Lin Yuan intended to give the Blissful Sea tribe some shocking information, his cooperation with the Blissful Sea tribe would not last long. Therefore, he had to empty the Blissful Sea tribe's resources as soon as possible. Lin Yuan was very confident about this. Lin Yuan was sure that the Blissful Sea tribe would never be willing to reject his offer. After recovering her mental strength for a while, Wen Yu felt that her head was no longer as dizzy. Wen Yu stood up and spoke to Lin Yuan. "Young master, I'm going to take over the Star Web Sky City's private faction territory. I'll deal with all the affairs in the territory. At night, I'll go back to the Hidden Moon Pavilion to sort out the information you asked me to." Lin Yuan nodded in response. Lin Yuan pondered for a moment before replying. "You've already sorted out the information on the Miao family. You just need to pay attention to the Miao family's movements. Let's put aside the information about the Blissful Sea clan for now. Let's first investigate the Sun clan's Dew Immortal Garden. In particular, there's an important member of the Sun family whose muscles have suffered extremely serious injuries that require the Legend Muscle Revitalization Camellia to alleviate and heal. Since when you had stayed in the Hidden Moon Pavilion for more than a week, she did not know what had happened on Star Web and in the mansion. However, after hearing Lin Yuan mention the Sun family for the second time, Wen Yu knew that Lin Yuan should be rather anxious about the Sun family's information. Wen Yu had heard about the Sun family. When she had been a spirit attendant in the Radiant Moon Palace, Wen Yu had heard Jin Qi talk about the top factions. For half a year, Jin Qi had been talking about the Sun family almost every day, and her tone was rather sarcastic. It seemed that 3 Pinnacle Class 4 Creation Masters of the Sun family had betrayed them, and the 3 traitors had been killed by the Sun family. However, Wen Yu usually did not pay attention to gossip and did not know much about the Sun family. "Young master, you don't need 3 days. I'll sort out the detailed information on the Sun family for you in 2 days." After saying that, Wen Yu returned to her room, logged into Star Web, and started to get busy. Lin Yuan left the training room and picked 10 of the best quality out of the remaining 160 Supreme Grade Angelfish of Bliss coats for Lu Jia, who was processing the ingredients in the kitchen. The first one was even better. End of this chapter. Chapter 710. He asked Lu Jia to help her bake the 10 Angelfish of Bliss into crispy pancakes. It would be convenient for her to replenish her spiritual energy in the future. Then, Lin Yuan sat on the water rhinoceros leather sofa and called Qi Haidao, the young family head of the Bliss Sea clan. Lin Yuan and Qi Haidao had met in Star Web Sky City's private territory. Qi Haidao had invited Lin Yuan to meet in real life to discuss the future cooperation, but Lin Yuan had rejected it. However, under Qi Haidao's hospitality, Lin Yuan still exchanged phone numbers with him. The call only rang 3 times before Qi Haidao picked up. Lin Yuan heard Qi Haidao's enthusiastic voice. "I didn't have time to ask for your name when we were in Sky City's territory. How should I address you?" Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan chuckled and said, "That's right. There's no need to call me brother. A total of 100 enhanced Angelfish of Bliss over the past 3 days. I think Sky City has shown its sincerity to the Bliss Sea clan." However, Sky City didn't feel the slightest sincerity from the Bliss Sea clan. Are these mid to high grade Angelfish of Bliss the reason why the Bliss Sea clan is so confident to call Sky City a brother? Upon hearing that, Qi Haidao's tone immediately changed. He became very serious and even a little angry. "What? I asked my men to bring you 100 adult Angelfish of Bliss. 80 of them are high grade and 20 of them are top grade. I didn't expect my men to bring the wrong ones." Then, Qi Haidao's tone immediately became gentle like a spring breeze. "Brother, I'll make it up to you during the next transaction. I'll ask my men to bring out 60 high grade and 40 top grade adult Angelfish of Bliss." I'm sorry, brother. I personally picked out this fish robe for you. Do you like it? These fish clothes are our Bliss Sea clan's best. Lin Yuan's words were like a slap on the face of Chi Haitao, who was pretending to be a smiling person. Normally, even if Chi Haitao really cared about the cooperation with the Sky City, he wouldn't be so humble and submissive. It was because the Sea of Bliss tribe had just obtained 100 pregnant angelfish of bliss that had been upgraded from bronze flawless to bronze epic. He had asked his father, Chi Wangyang, who was the Blissful Sea clan's patriarch, to cut off the Blissful Sea clan's management of other aquatic fays. Instead, he focused on cultivating the angelfish of bliss. He had also sent people to the spirit guards to get the Miao family's beast creation garden to pay for the Blissful Ocean clan's business transformation with the Miao family's beast creation garden. It could be said that the Blissful Sea tribe was in desperate need of Sky City's creation master resources. Otherwise, what awaited the Blissful Ocean clan was the Miao family's beast creation garden. Chi Haitao couldn't help but sigh inwardly. He had been too short-sighted before. He actually decided to equip mature angelfish of bliss like the one in Sky City. When Lin Yuan heard Chi Haitao's words, he revealed a playful expression. His fingers lightly tapped on the soft leather surface of the water rhinoceros leather sofa. Chi Haitao was indeed worthy of being the Blissful Sea clan's young patriarch. His words were indeed interesting. Lin Yuan wasn't surprised by Chi Haitao's attitude toward him. After all, Sky City had shown the Blissful Sea tribe astonishing creation master resources. However, Chi Haitao's words seemed to be admitting his mistake, but he was subtly testing his bottom line. At the same time, Chi Haitao also revealed the Blissful Sea tribe's future trading chips. For every 100 mature angelfish of bliss, there would be 80 high quality and 20 supreme grade. Furthermore, he used the reason of his subordinate's mistake to completely push the blame for the previous transaction. It was evident that Chi Haitao's negotiation ability was extremely strong. However, Lin Yuan didn't intend to continue wrangling with Chi Haitao. He wanted Chi Haitao to constantly test his bottom line. Instead, he told Chi Haitao his bottom line very forcefully. Could it be that the Blissful Sea tribe's transactions with Sky City have always been so insincere? In the next transaction between Sky City and the Blissful Sea tribe, is the Blissful Sea tribe going to use the female angelfish of bliss that can no longer carry eggs to fool Sky City? Lin Yuan's words made Chi Haitao, who was on the other end of the phone, break out in a cold sweat. According to Chi Haitao's understanding, the delicate angelfish of bliss should be on the verge of death when they were transported to Sky City in a face storage box. Sky City should be looking for the Blissful Sea tribe to seek help and impart the angelfish of bliss's conservation knowledge. Chi Haitao had even thought of the conditions for imparting the conservation knowledge. However, he didn't expect Sky City to ignore the dying angelfish of bliss and examine its body instead. However, the angelfish of bliss was the Blissful Sea tribe's foundation, and Sky City had plenty of creation master resources. Even if the Blissful Sea tribe relied on Sky City, Chi Haitao must not allow the adult female angelfish of bliss to be traded to Sky City just in case. Just as Chi Haitao was in a dilemma, he heard a clear and domineering voice on the other end of the phone. In the next transaction, Sky City can pretend that it doesn't know about the Blissful Sea tribe's tricks. However, since the Blissful Ocean tribe has played a trick, from now on, for every 100 angelfish of blissful sold, we, Sky City, will need 50 premium angelfish of blissful and 50 premium angelfish of blissful. Lin Yuan's request was already beyond Chi Haitao's initial expectations. However, after being pinched by Lin Yuan and pointing out the Blissful Sea tribe's tricks, Chi Haitao felt relieved. When Chi Haitao heard Lin Yuan's request, which was already beyond his expectations, he felt relieved. Just as Chi Haitao was about to agree, Lin Yuan spoke again. Since the Blissful Sea tribe wants to show their sincerity and picked 200 rainbow fish coats this time, you have to maintain it next time. In addition, for every transaction in the future, I want the Blissful Sea tribe to provide Sky City with 10 complete dead fantasy breed fays. Lin Yuan's words made Chi Haitao's mouth gape. Chi Haitao couldn't help but curse in his heart. How can someone ask for such an exorbitant price? Chi Haitao felt that Lin Yuan was even greedier than a devil. After squeezing out the blissful sea tribe's angelfish of bliss to the limit, Lin Yuan still wanted the blissful sea tribe to provide 200 more rainbow fish coats. At the same time, he wanted 10 complete fantasy breed fays. Such a condition was equivalent to doubling the price that the blissful sea tribe had to pay in the transaction. The second condition was even worse. End of this chapter. Chapter 7:11. Even if the Sea of Bliss needed to rely on Sky City's creation master resources, the blissful sea tribe would never do something like this that would result in a loss. I'm sorry, the blissful ocean tribe can't agree to such a request. The blissful ocean tribe. Before Chi Haitao could finish speaking, Lin Yuan interrupted him. You're too impatient. Don't reject me so quickly. Sky City will not make the blissful sea tribe pay too much for nothing. Sky City can give the blissful sea tribe a promise. Sky City will provide a bronze/legendary grade angelfish of bliss to the blissful sea tribe for every 3 transactions, which means that the quality of 300 pregnant angelfish of bliss will be enhanced. Lin Yuan's words immediately calmed Chi Haitao down. At the same time, he began to gasp in surprise. A bronze/legend angelfish of bliss was something that the entire Sea of Bliss tribe yearned for. The blissful sea clan had only relied on a kind of medicine that was concocted from more than 200 kinds of spiritual materials. This potion could help the angelfish of bliss to hatch its eggs. The blissful sea tribe used this opportunity to monopolize the angelfish of blissful in the market. However, the Sea of Paradise's previous patriarch, who was also Chi Haitao's grandfather, a pinnacle class for creation master, had perished. The Paradise Sea race would no longer have top-notch creation master resources. However, the blissful sea clan also had their own foundation. In the process of cultivating the angelfish of blissful sea clan, the previous clan leader of the blissful sea clan had cultivated the angelfish of blissful for a few decades. He successfully cultivated 2 bronze/legend angelfish of bliss. These 2 bronze/legend angelfish of bliss were used by the blissful sea clan's current patriarch, Qi Wangyang, as a symbol of the clan's luck. They were kept in the blissful sea clan's old mansion in Calming Wave City. However, these 2 bronze/legend angelfish of bliss were male and could not breed fish eggs. Sky City's promise to the blissful sea tribe was to upgrade the female fish to the legendary grade. This was a condition that the entire blissful sea tribe couldn't refuse. A bronze/legend angelfish of bliss could produce thousands of fish eggs at a time. Even with the blissful sea tribe's special medicine, only 1% of the young fish could survive. The blissful sea tribe would also get dozens of top-grade breeding fishes. After a few years of development, the overall quality of the blissful ocean tribe's angelfish would improve significantly. In fact, the offspring of the female bronze/legend angelfish of bliss might even break through the racial boundaries, evolving or mutating into brand new existences. At that time, even if the bronze/legend female fish laid eggs, their quality would drop from bronze/legend to bronze/epic. Even so, it still had a legendary grade foundation. At that time, if he raised this female fish with the 2 bronze/legend angelfish of bliss in the old mansion, it would still have the possibility of producing excellent offspring. If this deal went through, it would be the same as increasing the foundation of the blissful sea tribe. With this, the possibility of the blissful ocean tribe becoming a top-tier force in the next few years would be much higher. When Lin Yuan heard Chi Haitao's strange panting, he took the phone away from his ear. After more than 10 seconds, he continued to press the phone to his ear. This kind of man's panting was really too strange. Just as Lin Yuan stuck the phone to his ear, he heard Chi Haitao's urgent voice. It's a deal. Lin Yuan didn't talk nonsense with Chi Haitao and hung up the phone after the deal was done. Lin Yuan might be using the bronze/legend angelfish of bliss to trade with the blissful sea tribe. However, since the blissful sea tribe could do something to the angelfish of bliss, Lin Yuan could do the same. The delicate angelfish of bliss was very fragile during the gestation period, and it might die if it was stimulated slightly. Lin Yuan only needed to inject a large amount of pure spirit qi into the eggs in the belly of the bronze/legend angelfish of bliss while enhancing the female bronze/legend angelfish of bliss. Make the fish eggs strong, but not to the extent of mutation or evolution. At that time, the bronze/legend angelfish of bliss during the gestation period would be like Neza. If the energy in the female fish's body wasn't enough to meet the needs of the enhanced eggs, it would never be able to let the eggs mature enough to be released from the body. This would cause the bronze/legend angelfish of bliss to remain in the gestation period all year round. In this world, probably no faction would understand the delicate angelfish of bliss better than the blissful sea tribe. The eggs could not hatch into young fish after leaving the mother's body, and the mother fish would definitely die when its belly was cut open. At that time, the blissful sea tribe would have no choice but to watch the bronze/legend angelfish of bliss pregnant with a group of Neza. Even if they could not give birth, they would have to take them out. The bronze/legend angelfish of bliss that Lin Yuan had enhanced could only be used as a decoration in the blissful sea tribe. Lin Yuan didn't believe that the blissful sea tribe would give up on the pregnant bronze/legend angelfish of bliss when facing the upcoming Aurora pollen crisis. The bronze/legend angelfish of bliss would need to consume 100 times the Aurora pollen to provide energy for the eggs that could not be produced. This would increase the blissful sea tribe's burden on the Aurora pollen. In Lin Yuan's opinion, the pollen consumed by each angelfish of bliss was like a straw. No one knew how many straws could crush the blissful sea tribe. What Lin Yuan needed to do was to put a few more weighty straws on the blissful sea tribe during the cooperation period. After hanging up the call with Qi Haidao, Lin Yuan called Listen. He asked Listen to rely on the listening heron chamber of commerce's functions to help him bring back a muscle-rejuvenating camellia when he returned at night. After Lin Yuan had the listening heron chamber of commerce, it was much more convenient for him to need ordinary spiritual ingredients. When you had yet to find out who was injured in the Sun family's Dew Immortal Nursery and needed the legend muscle rejuvenating camellia to heal the injury. Lin Yuan wasn't sure if he should trade the enhanced muscle rejuvenating camellia to Sun Ningxiang in exchange for a complete law crystal inside a Myth 3 Fei. However, there was no harm in enhancing the muscle rejuvenating camellia first. This kind of spirit material that could heal specific injuries was an extremely rare and precious resource. At specific times, they could even be exchanged for foundational resources, just like the transaction between Lin Yuan and the Sun family. After calling Listen, Lin Yuan was ready to return to his room to sleep. Even if Lin Yuan's body was made of iron, he couldn't hold on after working for 6 days straight. Lin Yuan planned to sleep for a few hours and enter the spirit lock spatial zone after dinner to start a new round of working. However, before he could finish eating, Lin Yuan was woken up by Lu Jia with a grim expression. Chapter 3 Sad Face. End of this chapter. Chapter 7:12. After being woken up by Lu Jia, Lin Yuan felt dizzy. Being woken up as soon as one fell asleep when one was particularly sleepy could be considered a form of torture. The moment he woke up, Lin Yuan felt his eyes were hot and swollen, so he reached out and rubbed his eyes. Just as he was about to stretch, he saw Lu Jia's serious expression. Lin Yuan immediately sat up on the bed. Upon seeing that Lin Yuan had woken up, Lu Jia said in a deep voice, "Lin Yuan, Duan He is back. It's just that it's not convenient for Duan He to enter the mansion now." Lu Jia's words made Lin Yuan's eyes, which had just woken up and were still a little out of focus, suddenly focus. Lu Jia's words caused Lin Yuan's eyes, which had just woken up and were still a little out of focus, to suddenly focus. Previously, Lin Yuan had told Duan He not to bring bloody enemies back to the mansion. Since Lu Jia said that it was not convenient for Duan He to enter the mansion, it meant that Duan He had still brought back bloody enemies this time. Since Lu Jia said that it was not convenient for Duan He to enter the mansion, it meant that Duan He had still brought back bloody enemies this time. Lin Yuan got up and put on a moon-white robe embroidered with fish patterns. "Big brother Lu, let's go down and take a look." Lu Jia walked beside Lin Yuan and said, "Let's go, big brother Lu. I'm afraid the listening Heron Chamber of Commerce won't be peaceful during this period." Just now, Zhou Luo's lava dragon lizard was seriously injured to protect Listen. If Duan He hadn't protected the lava dragon lizard at the critical moment, Zhou Luo would have been crippled. Upon hearing Lu Jia's words, Lin Yuan's expression suddenly became gloomy. "How's Zhou Luo's lava dragon lizard?" Upon seeing that Lin Yuan was anxious about Zhou Luo's situation, Lu Jia said with a rejoicing expression. In order to help Listen block a sure-kill blow, half of the lava dragon lizard's body was cut open. If not for the fact that the lava dragon lizard is a defense-type Fey and has a dragon species bloodline with extremely strong recovery ability, I'm afraid the lava dragon lizard would not have lasted until Master Hong Shen arrived. After Master Hong Shen arrived, he performed basic treatment on the lava dragon lizard before Zhou Luo dared to put it back into the spiritual spatial zone. The lava dragon lizard has been brought back to Master Hong Shen's mansion next to the mansion. With this level of damage to its origin, Zhou Luo's lava Japalura will need at least a month to recover. Lin Yuan clenched his fist tightly when he heard about the lava dragon lizard's injuries. Battles between experts had always happened in the nick of time. If Duan He had acted a little later, the lava dragon lizard would definitely have died. As a spirit chi professional, the death of the lava dragon lizard was equivalent to losing his most important partner. It would deal a heavy and permanent blow to Zhou Luo, directly affecting his life from now on. At that time, in the evolving water world dimensional rift, Zhou Luo had stepped forward to block the hordes of blade worms. It could be said that he had experienced life and death with Lin Yuan and Lu Jia. At that time, Lin Yuan had already regarded Zhou Luo as one of his own, and Zhou Luo's image had been engraved on the hall's feature wall by Hu Quan after that. Lin Yuan felt that he had been too careless previously. When facing the pinnacle suzerain/myth 2 Night Calamity Crow, the Zheng family's main family's pinnacle myth 2 Nightmare 6 and the Zheng family's third lineage's pinnacle myth I Jiao Hansong had won. Moreover, Lin Yuan's smooth journey had made Lin Yuan somewhat lose his awe. He had neglected the enemy's strength. When he had clashed with the Night Calamity Crow, Nightmare 6, and Jiao Hansong, it had all been when the Mother of Bloodbath and Endless Summer, the two top combat powers of Sky City, had been present. They had only successfully killed the Night Calamity Crow when they had the upper hand. Nightmare 6, who had been killed by Endless Summer and the Mother of Bloodbath, was only ranked 6th among the 9 members of the Zheng family's Night Calamity Squad. Furthermore, the Night Calamity Squad's main role was to serve the Zheng family's younger generation core descendants. The Zheng family did not only have the Night Calamity Squad. Lin Yuan had completely woken up at that moment. His private faction, Sky City, was still a little too weak in terms of combat power. Although Endless Summer and the Mother of Bloodbath had Emperor-class combat power, the Mother of Bloodbath was currently a suzerain/myth 2 existence, while Endless Summer was a suzerain/myth 3 existence. Endless Summer's current strength had yet to reach the pinnacle of suzerain/myth 3. Strictly speaking, Endless Summer could not be considered a top existence among Emperor-class combat power. The new Emperor-class combat power, Duan He, had just joined Sky City not long ago. Duan He's contracted 7-headed sea demon snake, Purple Demon, had successfully advanced to Myth 2 not long ago. Judging from the 7-headed sea demon snake's strength against same-class experts. Now, Duan He should also be considered one of the best among Emperor-class experts with middle-end combat power. This was Sky City's current top combat power. Sky City's high-end combat power was considered Sky City's advantage, and Sky City's king-class combat power was undoubtedly much weaker. It could not even reach the standard of an ordinary rising faction. Zhou Luo, Master Hong Shen, Hu Quan, and Fei Qianqiong, who had issued a servant oath to listen and was buried in the Iron Wall Chamber of Commerce as a spy, Sky City only had these 4 king-class combat power. Among them, as a Class 5 spirit craftsman, Hu Quan was not good at combat. As a spy buried in the Iron Wall Chamber of Commerce, Fei Qianxiong's strategic significance was far greater than the strength that Fei Qianxiong had displayed, and it could not be used easily. Therefore, the strongest among the four was the class 4 creation master, Master Hong Shen, who had contracted the black copper pot mage. Lin Yuan sighed. Sky City's combat power had to be improved. However, he did not want to change Sky City's original method of recruiting members. Although Sky City was a faction, it was also a big family that needed to be maintained by the faction's members. Character was still an important criterion for Sky City to recruit members. Although Zhou Luo and Master Hong Shen were not considered strong, they had the capital to become experts. In terms of recruiting King-class experts, Sky City already had enough capital to attract the loyalty of various King-class experts after announcing the private faction territory's functions. However, in Lin Yuan's opinion, Sky City had now provoked the Zheng and Miao families. King-class experts could no longer solve the main problem of Sky City's lack of combat power. What Sky City really needed to improve was its top combat power. The more powerful Sky City's top combatants were, the more deterrent Sky City would pose to the other forces. However, they could not slack off in terms of King-class experts. King-class experts could be considered the backbone of any faction. After the previous white-clothed follower plan had been carried out once, Lin Yuan had slacked off because he had been too busy. Now, it seemed that the two still had to be handled together. The first was even worse. End of this chapter. Chapter 713. Lin Yuan had been extremely busy recently, and he was going to the Divine Wood Federation later. Every week in the Celestial Council, he had to be a system to cultivate the chosen protagonists, igniting the sparks of the Sky Castle to the world. Lin Yuan was very busy and did not have the time to select the King-class experts as the backbone of Sky City's forces. He grabbed the white-clothed followers with one hand and began his plan. It could be said that he was now supporting all of Sky City's resource systems with his own power. Every time he worked hard, he would bring a lot of resources and accumulation to Sky City. When he had implemented the white-clothed followers' plan, he had taken Lu Jie with him. Lin Yuan had originally planned to let Lu Jie serve as the white-clothed followers project's white-clothed general manager to manage the white-clothed followers, which were the backbone of Sky City. And now, it was time for Lu Jie to shoulder this responsibility. After Lu Jie explained the situation of the lava dragon lizard, Zhou Luo's expression changed. Lin Yuan clenched his fists tightly and frowned as he pondered. Just as Lu Jie was about to say something to comfort Lin Yuan, he heard Lin Yuan say to him, "Brother Lu, do you remember the white follower plan I told you before?" Upon hearing Lin Yuan's question, Lu Jie nodded and replied softly, "I remember." Although Lu Jie looked very simple and honest, with thick eyebrows and big eyes, he looked like an honest person. However, Lu Jie was a spirit chi professional who relied on tactics to command the insect swarm and relied on his brain power. Even if Lu Jie couldn't compare to Wen Yu in terms of organizing intelligence and internal affairs, however, after being in the Radiance 100 sequence for so many years, Lu Jie had a very big picture and Radiance's will. Upon hearing Lin Yuan mention the white-clothed follower plan, Lu Jie roughly knew what Lin Yuan was going to say. "Brother Lu, as we agreed before, you will be the main executor of the White Follower project from now on. Become a white-robed butler and develop and manage the white-robed servants under Sky City." Lu Jie nodded firmly upon hearing this. He didn't promise to take care of everything. He said firmly, "Young master, I, Lu Jie, will do my best." After becoming the disciple of the Spirit Guard's chief guard, Night Leaning Moon, Lu Jie no longer had to address Lin Yuan as young master. It could be said that Lu Jie had the same status as Lin Yuan and was also a son of heaven. However, Lu Jie's original intention had not changed. Whether it was now or then, Lin Yuan was Lu Jie's faith. He was the one who had saved Lu Jie's life in the dark. It could be said that Sky City had been established to fulfill Lin Yuan's dream. Because of Lin Yuan's dream, the newly established Sky City had also become their dream. When Yu was in charge of Sky City's affairs, big or small, and he personally controlled the financial power, Lu Jie didn't have much to contribute. Now that Lin Yuan had handed over the Sky City's shield and sword to him, it was both a mission and a responsibility for him. Lu Jie reached out and touched the Creation Master retainer crest on his chest. Lu Jie thought to himself as he felt the sword and shield vein patterns engraved on the 2 stars on his retainer crest. Since I am in charge of the authority of the white-clothed servants of Sky City, then I will definitely turn the white-clothed servants into the sword and impenetrable shield of Sky City. I will not betray Lin Yuan's trust. When he arrived at the mansion's entrance, Lin Yuan immediately saw the bloodstains outside the mansion that were far brighter than the fallen cinnabar sweet osmanthus. The falling osmanthus brought with it a gentle and sweet fragrance of the new year. However, after being stained by the smell of blood, the originally sweet fragrance had an indescribable bloodthirst and chilliness. Lin Yuan saw that the courtyard was covered with fays and spirit chi professionals. None of them were alive. Purple Demon never cared about the depth of its attack, and the fantasy breed fays and spirit chi professionals all changed forms under its attack. The wounds of these dead fays and spirit chi professionals were still sticky, and the dark elemental energy ejected by Purple Demon Lord's head refused to disperse. At that moment, Lin Yuan found that the mother of Bloodbath and Endless Summer had also arrived at the mansion's entrance. Lin Yuan was somewhat glad that after the new year, Chu Ci would spend most of her time in Mount Clear Moon's Radiant Moon Palace to receive Cold Moon's guidance. Chu Ci was still young and shouldn't have seen such a bloody scene and gotten involved in the disputes between factions. Moreover, as Chu Ci's elder brother, even though she was no longer young, Lin Yuan was still her elder brother. He still wanted to be the wall in front of Chu Ci that blocked all the rain, snow, wind, and frost, so that Chu Ci could always enjoy the pure and flashy world behind him. When the mother of Bloodbath and Endless Summer saw him, their ugly expressions eased up a little. The mother of Bloodbath said, "Yuan, I just discussed with Big Sister Xia. Big Sister Xia will stay in the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce for a period of time. With Sister Xia's perception, as long as it's not an Emperor-level expert or an Emperor-level expert, Sister Xia will definitely be able to find him before he attacks." Lin Yuan nodded after hearing the mother of Bloodbath's suggestion. That was his original plan. The Sky City had always been hidden in the clouds, but the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce was there. His enmity with the Jing family had started because he had accepted Listen and the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce. The Jing family and the Miao family were related by marriage, and Sky City had formed an enmity with the Miao family after they had formed an alliance with the Du Immortal Garden. When Lin Yuan saw the purple-robed man's reaction in the Miao family's beast creation courtyard, he knew that he should have interfered with the Miao family's important plan. Since the Zheng and Miao families could not find traces of Sky City, the exposed Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce naturally became the main battlefield for both sides to find traces of Sky City. Endless Summer shook the body weaponization bracelet on her wrist and said, "Yuan, do you still remember the life-form sacrificial fire? Lin Yuan, do you still remember the life-form sacrificial fire you gave me after my tree core was dug out? Back then, the life-form sacrificial fire filled the position of my tree core and became my new tree core. But after I killed that stinky bird, little sister blood threw my original tree core back to me. After passing the Myth 3 World Cleansing and receiving the World Grace, under the nourishment of the World Grace, my tree core that was dug out grew back into the tree trunk. Now that the two tree cores nourish each other, they finally no longer repel each other. Instead, they form a complete cycle in the body." Lin Yuan's pupils shrank when he heard Endless Summer's words. Lin Yuan had always known that the mother of Bloodbath had endless potential on the path of growth due to the combination of exclusive skills and abilities. As long as there was blood energy, it could quickly increase its grade and even charge all the way to the Genesis realm. Endless Summer's talent was much more mediocre than the mother of Bloodbath, but what Endless Summer had just said was clearly the legendary situation of two tree cores. Moreover, these two tree cores had also formed a complete cycle and formed a common whole in Endless Summer's body. The second was even more. End of this chapter. Chapter 7:14. For woody plant phase, the tree core was the core of the plant fae. It was the source of power for plant phase. For most plant phase, having their tree cores dug out was a dead end. However, Endless Summer now had two tree cores that nourished and connected with each other. One of the tree cores was formed by the plant phase cardinal treasure, the life-form sacrificial fire. After the life-form sacrificial fire became Endless Summer's tree core, it gave Endless Summer an insane recovery ability. The two tree cores allowed Endless Summer to have two sources of power, and its overall strength had increased by several times. This increased Endless Summer's chances of becoming a creation breed fae by several times. Endless Summer had previously felt that it could not withstand the creation tribulation and become a creation breed fae. Now, Endless Summer felt that she had the strength to face the creation calamity of becoming a creation breed. Upon hearing Endless Summer's words, Lin Yuan pondered for a moment and recalled the knowledge that the Moon Empress had told him about the plant phase tree core. Lin Yuan asked Endless Summer. Endless Summer, is your tree growing two cores considered a mutation or evolution? Endless Summer's expression suddenly became solemn. I was just an ordinary hydrangea flower at first. When I was at Elite, a gold summer brocade was trampled to death by a group of monkeys. I also happened to use my roots to absorb the summer brocade's energy, which allowed me to mutate into the summer embroidery flower at bronze. After comprehending the Enlightenment willpower and successfully transcending the world cleansing, it transformed into the Enlightenment law and transformed into Endless Summer. It's the same for us myth breed phase, including little sister blood. We can clearly feel the direction of evolution in our bodies. After the tree grows two cores and connects them, I can faintly sense that if I successfully transcend the creation tribulation and become a creation breed, then I can transform into Endless Divine Dream Summer. Actually, I have my current achievements mainly thanks to the summer hibiscus that was trampled to death by a group of monkeys. Otherwise, my bloodline wouldn't have mutated and become an expert. This was the first time Lin Yuan heard Endless Summer talk about her experience. He didn't expect Endless Summer's path of growth to be so inspiring or full of coincidences. Before Endless Summer transformed into Endless Divine Dream Summer, Lin Yuan was unable to use true data to check what kind of fae the Endless Divine Dream Summer was. However, just by listening to the name, Lin Yuan knew that Endless Summer, who had comprehended the Enlightenment law to control the mind, must have reached a new level of control over the mind after being bestowed with the words divine dream. At this moment, Duan, he who stood at the side, asked with slight surprise. Why aren't you grateful to the group of monkeys that trampled the gold summer hibiscus to death? Why are you thanking Fanxia instead? If the gold summer hibiscus hadn't been trampled to death by the monkeys, you wouldn't have been able to absorb it and evolve, right? Before Duan he could finish, Violet Demon stuck her tail into his mouth and sealed it shut. Violet Demon said apologetically to Endless Summer. Sister Xia, this is an old talker. I'll help you take care of him later. Endless Summer shook her head indifferently. Then, she said with a somewhat frantic expression. Not only did those stupid monkeys stomp the summer hibiscus to death, but they also pissed on my roots. I couldn't help but retch for over a month when I was absorbing the energy of the summer hibiscus. Why do I have to thank them? Instead, those monkeys should be thanking me. When they were being chased by the giant viper forest anacondas, I used a tree of flowers to provide them with shelter for 100 years. But those damn stupid monkeys actually had the mind to reproduce when they were hiding on the tree from the giant viper forest anacondas. Endless Summer's words let Lin Yuan know that Endless Summer had been very annoyed by the monkeys. Moreover, after this period of contact, Lin Yuan realized that Endless Summer had a very serious obsession with cleanliness. Even so, Endless Summer was still willing to use its body to provide shelter for the monkeys. It could be seen that even though Endless Summer was very disdainful of the monkeys, it was still grateful for the chance for mutation and evolution that the monkey's unintentional trampling had given it. Suddenly, Lin Yuan understood why Endless Summer had not hesitated to become his protector when he had given the lifeform sacrificial fire to Endless Summer to help it survive. It was because Endless Summer valued kindness very much. An unintentional trampling was 100 years of protection, not to mention that Lin Yuan had saved Endless Summer's life. Just as Endless Summer was thinking about taking at least 3 more baths because of the monkeys, Lin Yuan shook his hand. Lin Yuan shook his hand, and a few sparkling diamond-like crystals appeared in his hand. When Endless Summer saw these sparkling crystals, she immediately held her breath. Then, her breathing uncontrollably quickened. The mother of Bloodbath and the purple demon had not reached Myth 3 and did not need to absorb the pure power of law in the law crystals. However, Endless Summer had reached Myth 3 and had an instinctive desire for the power of law. Moreover, the law crystals in Lin Yuan's hand were so pure that they could be easily absorbed. At that moment, Endless Summer heard Lin Yuan's serious question. Endless Summer, how many of these law crystals do you think will allow you to become a creation breed? A creation breed was an unfamiliar concept to Lin Yuan. As his master, the Moon Empress had only mentioned that there was a creation breed above myth breed at most. The Moon Empress would not tell Lin Yuan about the power of law and creation breed phase when he was still a C-rank professional. Therefore, he had to ask Endless Summer, who was at Suzerain/Myth 3, about this knowledge. The law crystal in Lin Yuan's hand, which contained pure power of the law, was the product of 1/5 of the law crystal fragments that Duan he had given Lin Yuan after being purified by the princess skirt. When Lin Yuan saw Endless Summer's expression of wanting to take the law crystal and examine it carefully, he placed the law crystal in his hand in Endless Summer's hand. Endless Summer held the law crystal in her hand and looked at it in fascination for a moment. If every single one of them is a law crystal of this purity, then I'll need about 100 of them to reach the peak of Myth 3. From there, it will attempt to break through to the creation breed Fey realm. Upon hearing Endless Summer's words, Lin Yuan started to calculate carefully in his heart. The law crystal fragments provided by Duan he could refine a total of 5 such law crystals. Coupled with the large number of transactions with Sun Ningxiang, the number of law crystals in Lin Yuan's hand had reached 20. Although the 100 law crystals that Endless Summer mentioned were a lot, in his opinion, it was not an extravagant hope that could not be achieved. The third one. Ask for a monthly ticket, end of chapter. Chapter 7:15. Lin Yuan had yet to take out the large pieces of law crystals that he had extracted from the complete law crystals. In the following period of time, Lin Yuan was more diligent and traded with Sun Ningxiang. Lin Yuan felt that it would not be difficult to gather 100 pieces of law crystals. He had never been afraid of anyone when it came to risking his life. In fact, if he could cooperate with Sun Ningxiang in other aspects, he might be able to obtain more law crystal fragments. He might even empty the law crystal fragments that the Sun family had accumulated for hundreds of years in the Dew Immortal Garden. Lin Yuan's sacred source life form could not only extract pure law crystals from the law crystals in myth breed phase, but it could also extract pure law crystals from the law crystals in class 7-dimensional life forms. Even though the law crystal's content was much less than that extracted from the law crystal in myth breed phase, it could not withstand dimensional rifts. However, the Radiance Federation was constantly opening dimensional rifts, and there would be an active period of the dimensional rifts every decade. Therefore, there were a lot of Law Origin crystals in the Radiance Federation. Law Origin crystals did not have any specific use to others and were just a symbol of strength. It was a good thing for Lin Yuan. It was far easier for Lin Yuan to collect Law Origin crystals than Law Crystal fragments. Lin Yuan's initial plan was to give these pure Law crystals to the Mother of Bloodbath. Since Endless Summer also had the potential to become a creation breed, and the Mother of Bloodbath was still a distance away from Myth 3. Lin Yuan decided to let Endless Summer use these pure law crystals first. At the same time, Lin Yuan was determined to deepen his cooperation with Sun Ningxiang. This was because the current nurturing of Sky City's top faction still depended on the Law Origin crystals and Law crystal fragments that Sun Ningxiang provided in the process of trading with him. After pondering for a while, Lin Yuan took out a brocade pouch. He solemnly handed it to Endless Summer and said, "Endless Summer, use these things to improve your strength first. Endless Summer, use these things to improve your strength first. I'll provide some more to you after a period of time until you reach the pinnacle of Suzerain X/Myth 3 and become a fantasy breed to face the creation tribulation. I'm looking forward to your evolution into Endless Divine Dream Summer." Lin Yuan's words made Duanhe's pupils shrink. As Duanhe interacted with everyone during this period, he could not help but feel that he really had many companions. Furthermore, this feeling was growing stronger by the day. It even made Duanhe feel a sense of duty towards Sky City. If Duanhe had started working for Sky City and Lin Yuan because of the oath, then he now wanted to contribute to Sky City from the bottom of his heart. It wasn't just because of Lin Yuan's promise and the fact that he was the Moon Empress disciple. Duanhe, who knew Lin Yuan's identity, naturally guessed what was in the brocade pouch that Lin Yuan handed to Endless Summer. To be able to increase the strength of Endless Summer, who was at Myth 3, the half-full brocade pouch would definitely be filled with the same pure law crystals as the one in Endless Summer's hand. Previously, Duanhe had never understood the definition of doting. Duanhe, who had a preconceived notion of Lin Yuan's identity, subconsciously thought that the pure law crystal in Lin Yuan's hand came from the Moon Empress. It had never occurred to him that these law crystals, which contained pure nomological power, had been refined from Lin Yuan's contracted sacred source life form. Upon seeing Lin Yuan casually taking out so many pure law crystals, Duanhe felt that the Moon Empress really doted on Lin Yuan too much. Lin Yuan did not know what Han Shihe was thinking. Even if he knew, he would only smile and say to Duanhe, "My master dotes on me far more than you think. My master dotes on me far more than you think." Endless Summer took Lin Yuan's brocade pouch. The light weight in her hand made Endless Summer's heart feel heavy. Endless Summer had grown from a tender hydrangea in the depths of the endless forest and evolved step by step to become a myth expert. Endless Summer had experienced countless dangers of fighting against the heavens and brushed past death. Endless Summer had fought against the heavens time and time again to seek opportunities to mutate and evolve. Even Endless Summer herself could not remember how much effort she had put in. Since Endless Summer had reached the myth breed realm, she naturally knew how difficult it was to increase her strength again in such a realm. Countless talented myth breed fays were stuck at Myth 3 and did not have the chance to experience the calamity of world creation to become creation breeds. It was the same for many fantasy breed fays that could not transform their willpower into laws and undergo the world cleansing test to become myth breeds. If Endless Summer were to cross this hurdle by herself, she would not be able to do so. Even though Endless Summer had 2 cores and 2 cores, she was still not sure if she could reach that step. But now, Lin Yuan had extended his hand and gifted her with a great opportunity, allowing her to effortlessly cross the most difficult part of the road. Such an opportunity was no longer something that could be expressed with gratitude, and it was not something that could be repaid with gratitude. This was because Lin Yuan had gifted her a true path to the heavens. Once she passed the calamity of world creation and became a creation breed, the level of life would be completely different. Even if a fantasy breed only existed in fantasy, it was ultimately a life form that carried willpower. The appearance of a myth breed fae could set off a shocking legend, but it was just a legend created by laws. However, when it reached the level of a creation breed creating a world, the laws would create an unparalleled true world. It might even reach immortality. Endless Summer didn't express much at that moment. She just stared deeply at Lin Yuan and nodded. Then, Endless Summer stared at the warm mural on the mansion's landscape wall and revealed a heartfelt smile. This smile was as though it had cultivated a curtain of summer in the cold winter and set off the colorful midsummer. The mother of Bloodbath was also happy for Endless Summer. At the same time, it was also digesting its considerable progress during this period of time. During this period, the mother of Bloodbath was using the exclusive skill, external blood bone, that it had obtained as a myth breed fey to transform the red water blood snake that Lin Yuan had enhanced to bronze/legend. It allowed the three-tailed red water blood snake to become a part of the Mother of Bloodbath's body. The Mother of Bloodbath was already halfway done, and it only needed another day or two for the external blood bone to complete the transformation. This would allow the Mother of Bloodbath's strength to achieve a qualitative leap. The Mother of Bloodbath looked at the nearly 20 dead fantasy breed fays piled up at Duanhe's feet outside the mansion, as well as the 3 decapitated mid-tier king-class experts, 3 high-tier king-class experts, and 2 pinnacle king-class experts. The Mother of Bloodbath's eyes could not help but become sharp. First, end of this chapter. Chapter 7:16. The Mother of Bloodbath's eyes were sharp and chilling at the same time. Just as the Mother of Bloodbath was about to extract the blood energy from these fantasy breed fays and king-class experts, Lin Yuan suddenly grabbed its wrist. Lin Yuan held on to the Mother of Bloodbath's raised hand and thought to himself. Fortunately, I was fast enough. Otherwise, if the Mother of Bloodbath extracted the blood energy from these fantasy breed fays, these fantasy breed fays would no longer be complete. I can't let the Royal Highness extract the willpower hidden in these dead fantasy breed fays through the Royal Highness's skirt. Upon seeing the Mother of Bloodbath reveal a doubtful expression, Lin Yuan quickly said, "Fortunately, I was fast enough. After I'm done with them, I'll let you absorb the blood energy contained in them. I still have some use for these dead fantasy breed fays. After I'm done with them, I'll let you absorb their blood energy." With Red Thorn's eye of relinquished continuous supply, a few bunches of blood brew grapes on the blood brew grapevine had already ripened. With Red Thorn's eye of relinquished continuous supply, a few bunches of blood brew grapes on the blood brew grapevine had already ripened. Lin Yuan spoke to the Mother of Bloodbath again. A few bunches of blood brew grapes on the blood brew grapevine have also ripened recently. I'll give those bunches of blood brew grapes and these fantasy breed fays to you in a while. Upon hearing that, the Mother of Bloodbath's eyes immediately flashed with surprise. At the same time, it could not help but be very surprised. Wasn't Lin Yuan's speed of nurturing blood brew grapes too fast? How many high-grade phase essence blood did Lin Yuan use to water the blood brew grapevine to let it grow blood brew grapes so quickly? From what Lin Yuan had said just now, it was not just a bunch of blood brew grapes that had ripened. This was simply great news for the Mother of Bloodbath. The Mother of Bloodbath had always been strong-willed and knew the current situation of Sky City. The previous battle with Nightmare 6 had made the Mother of Bloodbath realize how weak it was. After Lin Yuan had been sucked into the evolving water world dimensional rift, the Mother of Bloodbath had felt the helplessness of not having enough strength. Therefore, after returning, the Mother of Bloodbath had desperately wanted to increase its strength. With the supply of blood brew grapes, the Mother of Bloodbath would soon be able to welcome its third world cleansing with a large amount of blood energy. He advanced to Myth 3 and martial materialization. The Mother of Bloodbath felt that it had to reach at least Myth 3 to be able to protect Lin Yuan's safety in the current situation of Sky City. He was practicing his responsibilities as Lin Yuan's path protector. Alright, I'll split the essence blood and spiritual ingredients after I'm done absorbing these fantasy breed phase blood. Treat it as an accumulation of high-grade spirit materials. As it spoke, the Mother of Bloodbath felt its hands itch, and it couldn't help but be eager to try. Lin Yuan knew that the Mother of Bloodbath's bone crusher was about to show its might again. He might not have any need for high-grade spiritual ingredients, but pure spirit chi could solve almost all problems when it came to enhancing and nurturing phase. However, Sky City still had a proper class for Creation Master, Master Hongshen. In the future, Sky City's demand for high-grade spirit materials would only increase. It just so happened that the Zheng family's batch of king-class experts, who had come to the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce to find trouble, had contracted fantasy breed phase. They would be regarded as enriching Sky City's resource accumulation. It could also be considered as solving Lin Yuan's current urgent problem. In order to be able to interact with energy in the Celestial Council, Lin Yuan urgently needed willpower. When Lin Yuan used Morbius True Data to check these 20 dead fantasy breed phase, the weakest was a Diamond /Fantasy I Thundertooth Sword Cat. The strongest was a Diamond X/Fantasy V Charm Demon Crabapple. Even with Duan He protecting the listening Heron Chamber of Commerce, Zhou Luo was still injured because the purple demon had been controlled for a moment by this Charm Demon Crabapple, which could almost become a myth breed. The Charm Demon Crabapple was on a list of Class 5 scholars researching support-type phase control abilities. The Charm Demon Crabapple's Chaos Control effect was ranked in the top 10. In the pile of phase under Duan He's feet, there was not only the Charm Demon Crabapple but also 4 other phase. At the same time, there were 4 other phase that had similar strength as the Charm Demon Crabapple. They were all Diamond X/Fantasy V phase. These 4 phase were the Wave-Chasing Dolphin, the Hook Spur Sea Mother, the Scarlet Beak Blood Feather Falcon, and the Poison Peach Healing Butterfly. With such a high-quality batch of dead fantasy breed phase, it was enough for Princess Luo Kun to accumulate a batch of outstanding willpower. Not only did it increase the sacred source lifeform strength, but it also gave Lin Yuan the willpower to face the energy interaction in the Celestial Council in the future. Lin Yuan had just put these dead fantasy breed phase into the diamond phase storage box when he saw Listen, Zhou Luo, and Master Hongshan walking back from outside. At that moment, Listen and Master Hongshan both had thick dark circles under their eyes. 2 thick eye bags also appeared under Listen's beautiful phoenix eyes. It was obvious that they had not rested well during this period. Master Hongshan entered and saw everyone in the courtyard, so he nodded at them. Especially when he saw Lin Yuan standing at the entrance of the mansion, Master Hongshan hurriedly said, "Young master, you have been in seclusion for the past few days." Young master, you have been in seclusion for the past few days. I think the owner of the Green Mountain behind us wants to sell the Green Mountain behind our 2 manors. I took the initiative to snatch that Green Mountain from the hands of a rising faction, the Golden Pig breeding base. At this point, Master Hongshan was still a little angry. This rising faction, the Golden Pig breeding base, is too much. They actually want to breed black-back mountain boars and other fays on the Green Mountain behind us on a large scale. If they build a pig farm on the Green Mountain, our 2 manors will become natural public toilets when the wind blows. Even the fragrance of the cinnabar sweet osmanthus in front of young master's courtyard cannot cover the smell of hundreds of thousands of black-back mountain boar manure. Lin Yuan had originally planned to ask Master Hongshan about Zhou Luo's lava dragon lizard. Upon hearing Master Hongshan's words, Lin Yuan could not help but be dumbfounded. Not to mention that Master Hongshan was usually sloppy, but right now, Master Hongshan was indeed quietly protecting the environment of the manor. If there were really hundreds of thousands of black-back mountain boars on the back mountain, no one in the mansion would be happy except for Chu Ci. Coincidentally, Lin Yuan had heard of the rising faction, the Golden Pig breeding base, that Master Hongshan had mentioned. The Golden Pig breeding base was considered a rising faction that had suddenly risen in the past half a year. It was rather popular on Star Web. It was said that the founder of the Golden Pig breeding base had only opened an ordinary breeding base in a small city. Later on, due to the dimensional rift, the ordinary breeding base had been occupied by dimensional lifeforms. Only the person in charge of the Golden Pig breeding base had survived the dimensional rift. The second was even worse. End of this chapter. Chapter 717. Due to various reasons, the surviving person in charge of the Golden Pig faction started to breed pig species phase that were mainly black-back mountain boars. As luck would have it, the price of pork would skyrocket. It allowed the newly established Golden Pig breeding base to accumulate resources at a rocket-like speed and successfully become a rising faction. Lin Yuan rather admired people who built their businesses from scratch. However, no matter how much he admired them, Lin Yuan could not tolerate living in a public toilet. Lin Yuan could not help but sigh. Well done. It's all thanks to you for buying the Green Mountain behind the mansion. Since Master Hongshan had bought the Green Mountain behind the mansion, the land near the mansion in the royal capital's suburbs was only left with a forest beside the Green Mountain. Lin Yuan felt that he might as well buy that forest as well. In any case, the amount of money that Sky City could take out to buy a forest was just a drizzle. The blackback mountain boars could only live on the mountains. However, if the golden pig breeding base bought that forest to breed the woodland spotted pigs, Lin Yuan would have another headache. Lin Yuan planned to leave this matter to Master Hongshen. When Master Hongshen heard Lin Yuan's praise, his old face was as happy as a blooming daisy as he chuckled. He chuckled and said, "Young master, I checked that Green Mountain previously. There might not be anything special about that Green Mountain, but there are thick rock strata below it. If we can break through the rock strata, we can use the sturdy rock strata under the Green Mountain as a framework to build the Fey breeding room." As he spoke, Master Hongshen recalled the golden lotus brocade plant that Lin Yuan had shown him a few days ago, which was a mutation of the flower brocade pearls. As a creation master, Master Hongshen had been in an excited state for 2 consecutive days after seeing the golden lotus brocade. On the one hand, he was shocked by the golden lotus brocade's increase in the fusion rate of the spirit fluids and spiritual ingredients concocted by creation masters. On the other hand, Master Hongshen wanted to use his strength to breed the golden lotus brocade in large quantities that could make any creation master go crazy. All of a sudden, Master Hongshen thought of a problem that he had been thinking about for a long time but had never thought of a solution. "Young master, the underground space might have excellent land resources to breed plant species Fays, but there is no light underground. Even if we use plants that emit light like the starlight grass to illuminate the underground space, the light from the starlight grass is ultimately inferior to sunlight in promoting the growth of plant species Fays." Upon hearing Master Hongshen's words, Lin Yuan revealed a mysterious smile. "You don't have to worry about this. I'll handle it. Since you bought the Green Mountain behind the manor, why don't you buy the forest beside it as well? When the time comes, we can expand the underground space a little more." After listening to Master Hongshen's suggestion, Lin Yuan had immediately decided to implement the underground space. In the past, Lin Yuan might have had a headache over the problem of underground illumination. However, he now had 99 newborn sun reflection king lotuses. 99 newborn sun reflection king lotuses were equivalent to 99 small suns. The problem of illumination in the underground space would be solved. He only hoped that when the time came, Master Hongshen, who was working in the underground space, would not feel that the sunlight from the 99 little suns was too dazzling. A large part of the reason he wanted to build an underground space was for concealment. Moreover, the underground space was under the manor, so it could be considered a part of the manor. It was very convenient. After that, anything that needed to be kept secret could be moved to the underground space. After talking about the underground spatial zone, Lin Yuan asked Master Hongshen, "Zhou Luo, how is the lava Japalura doing?" Upon hearing that, Master Hongshen's expression became serious. "There's no problem now. The lava Japalura can recover to its pre-injury state after using the spirit fluid I concocted and recuperating for half a month. If the lava Japalura's wound had been 5 centimeters deeper, its internal organs would have fallen out of the split half of its body. If I had gone a minute later, the lava Japalura might not have been able to hold on due to excessive blood loss. Although Duan he is fine, the listening Heron Chamber of Commerce suffered heavy losses under the attacks of these king-class experts. At that time, all the employees outside the listening Heron Chamber of Commerce were indiscriminately killed by those king-class experts' Fays." At that moment, Listen's weary voice echoed. "Young master, I've taken care of the subsequent matters. The listening Heron Chamber of Commerce's subsequent actions can be carried out as usual. Moreover, the first batch of luxury goods sold by the listening Heron Chamber of Commerce a few days ago was extremely well received. Many other factions even sent a large number of orders to the listening Heron Chamber of Commerce, but I rejected them all." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan knew that Listen did not want him to spend too much time worrying about the listening Heron Chamber of Commerce. At the same time, Listen was assuring him that he could manage the listening Heron Chamber of Commerce well and deal with this crisis. Since Lin Yuan had chosen to believe in Listen, he had also handed the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce over to him. He did not continue to ask Listen about the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce's follow-up plans and arrangements. Instead, he spoke to Listen. When you return to the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce this time, bring Endless Summer back with you. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Listen's weary face immediately showed excitement. After witnessing Endless Summer's strength and being saved by it from the Grim Reaper, Listen felt extremely at ease at that moment. Listen was not afraid that the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce would face any suppression from the business side. He was confident that he could complete the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce's business operations with his brain. However, when it came to hard strength, Listen's brain could not play any role. Lu Jie, who had been silent, spoke at that moment. The active phase of the dimensional rift will end in nearly 4 months. According to the Spirit Guard order, no Emperor-class experts will dare to cause trouble in the royal capital during the active phase of the dimensional rift. Otherwise, they will be locked in the Spirit Guard's sin-cleansing pond. But after 4 months, if the Jing family's The Arch Powerhouse doesn't come, the Miao family's The Arch Powerhouse will definitely come to the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce. Lin Yuan raised his head and looked at the setting sun. He then looked at Endless Summer and said, "That's right. I believe that Sky City will also have an Emperor-level powerhouse in less than 4 months." Then, Lin Yuan said to Endless Summer, "Kill anyone who appears near the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce, be it the Jing family or the Miao family." Endless Summer nodded upon hearing this and immediately guaranteed, "I will ensure the safety of every employee in the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce." Endless Summer's expression was very solemn, as this was the first time she felt a strong killing intent from the words of a gentle person like Lin Yuan. The third one. End of chapter. Chapter 718. He stroked the amber-shaped diamond face storage box that he used as a cufflink and thought to himself, "I still haven't figured out which member of the Jing family sent that mysterious rapid pigeon from before. It's time to see what the purpose of this messenger pigeon's owner is." In a secret room in the Jing family's main residence, bottles and jars were placed with all kinds of rare spiritual ingredients from Fays. A youth wearing a creation master robe was sitting on the sofa with an ashen expression. A black and white little marten jumped up and down, occasionally taking a chess piece from the chessboard on the seat and secretly chewing it. At that moment, a loud bang on the table scared the black and white little marten, and it hurriedly threw the chess piece that it had secretly taken back into the chess pot. The youth wearing the creation master robe was no longer as calm as he used to be. Instead, he said angrily with an ashen expression, "Are there jackals, wolves, tigers, and leopards in the royal capital? We send out so many king stage powerhouses, including 2 peak king stage powerhouses, but we've lost track of them all. I, Zheng Kaiyuan, don't believe that the royal capital's Jing family can't reach out." At that moment, the smiling elder standing beside Zheng Kaiyuan said, "Young master, please calm down. I feel that young master doesn't have to be too concerned about the line of words carved by the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce's experts on the table. Since things have come to this, I feel that young master should talk to madam about this matter. It doesn't matter if the royal capital's Jing family can't reach out, but madam can." The smiling elder's expression was normal when he mentioned the Jing family, but when he mentioned the word madam, his expression was filled with deep respect. A wisp of deep respect appeared on his face. Zheng Kaiyuan played with the thumb ring on his finger, which was made of turquoise and inlaid with deep-sea red blood coral patterns. He glanced at the smiling elder beside him and said with some displeasure, "Father won't be happy. Looking for mother for everything, father won't be happy." Furthermore, the king-class experts sent to the royal capital this time are all from the Zheng family's hidden investigation team. It's impossible for father not to know that the hidden investigation team has suffered such a huge loss. Why don't I immediately send a Nightmare 4 and Nightmare V to the royal capital? Both of them are good at concealment, and they should be able to investigate the background of the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce. The smiling old man's throat was a little itchy. Now that he heard Jing Kaiyuan's words, he almost started coughing. The smiling old man hurriedly consoled. "Second young master, you must not act rashly again." Putting aside the fact that there were 2 pinnacle king-class existences among the batch of king-class experts that were sent to the royal capital, Nightmare VI's death while following the 3 lineages shows that the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce definitely has an Emperor-class expert guarding it. Moreover, the Emperor tier combat power behind it is at least an advanced Emperor tier at the very least. Otherwise, it would be impossible for them to kill a suzerain/myth 2 nightmare. The smiling old man's words caused Jing Kaiyuan's frown to deepen. Jing Kaiyuan watched as the black and white sable spun around on the chessboard, coveting the chess pieces in the pot. Jing Kaiyuan was annoyed. With a wave of his hand, he recalled the Yin Yang Senro mink back into his spiritual space. Upon seeing this, the smiling old man struck while the iron was hot. "Young master, not only does the blood of the Jing family flow in your body, but the blood of the Miao family also flows in your body. During the active phase of the dimensional rift, no one dares to disregard the ban issued by the spirit guards. The Jing family is just a veteran faction. Their movements in Indigo Azure City are restricted at this time. If they make any strange moves or cause any trouble, they will be punished by the 2 envoys who are still in Indigo Azure City. But the Miao family is different. They are a top-notch faction. If young master tells Madam about this, Madam might just settle the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce for young master." Jing Kaiyuan replied helplessly. "Uncle He, aren't you annoying? Tell mother about this. Once mother makes a move, master will definitely know that I haven't been practicing spirit fluid concoction and improving my strength as a creation master. When that time comes, I will be taken to the Beast Creation Garden and forced into seclusion by master's side for a year." Uncle He's smiling face twitched when he heard this. In Uncle He's understanding, his young master was not someone who would suffer losses. It seemed that he was afraid of being taken to the Beast Creation Garden by Master Miao Qi and forced into seclusion. Jing Kaiyuan pondered for a long time, stood up, sighed, and took the initiative to speak to Uncle He. "Follow me to see mother." Father gave Nightmare 1, Nightmare 2, and Nightmare 3 to Big Brother and gave me Nightmare 4, Nightmare 5, and Nightmare 6. If Nightmare 1, which is 1 step away from becoming a creation breed, is in my hands, I can still continue to settle this matter by myself. Big Brother is a member of the Radiance 100 sequence, and his mind is not on inheriting the family. Father gave Nightmare 1, Nightmare 2, and Nightmare 3 to Big Brother. What a waste. At that moment, a middle-aged woman wearing a long dress embroidered with all kinds of gems and spiritual materials was holding her waist-length hair with one hand while gracefully fiddling with various precious luxury jewelry in the groove on the wall. The gorgeous dress filled the middle-aged woman, who did not look very outstanding, with a graceful temperament. The middle-aged woman frowned slightly and looked at the luxury jewelry in the groove with a rather serious expression. It was as though she was in a dilemma about which ring, which necklace, and which pair of earrings should she wear. At that moment, a stout old woman walked over from behind the woman and bowed to her. "Madam, young master is here to see you." Upon hearing that, the middle-aged woman's slightly frowned brows relaxed. She no longer hesitated and gracefully took a pair of earrings inlaid with light attribute law crystal fragments from the groove and hung them on her earlobes. She took the initiative to turn to the door and pulled Jing Kaiyuan into the room. Then, she pulled over a roll of cloth ruler and said with interest, "Kaiyuan originally wanted to look for you. Kaiyuan was going to look for you, but now that you're here, it just so happens that you're here. Let me measure you. Have you grown taller? I happen to have time to make 2 sets of clothes for you." Upon hearing that, Jing Kaiyuan felt that he had come at the wrong time. His mother, Miao Ji, was a Class 5 weaver. She was good at everything, but she liked to make clothes when she had nothing to do. Every time she measured him, he would not be able to satisfy his mother's obsessive-compulsive disorder without at least an hour. Jing Kaiyuan hurriedly told his mother the purpose of this trip. Miao Ji, who originally wanted to measure Zheng Kaiyuan's clothes, heard Zheng Kaiyuan's words, and her wrinkled brows immediately turned fierce. The ferocious glint in her eyes was like a sharp needle at the back of the yellow peak. Kaiyuan, how much do you know about the faction behind the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce? Everyone in the Radiance Federation knows that the Jing family has the support of the Miao family. Since the other party knows your identity and still dares to find trouble and kill the people you sent, they are looking down on me and the entire Miao family. Hee, they have to pay a painful price for looking down on me and the entire Miao family. The first one was even worse. End of this chapter. Chapter 719. After Nightmare VI's death, Zheng Kaiyuan had gone to look for the Indigo Azure Guard captain to inquire about the news. At that time, the Indigo Azure Guard captain had only left the words, Sky City, and had not divulged any information about that battle. However, Zheng Kaiyuan couldn't wrap his head around the term, Sky City. He had never heard of a power called Sky City before. Zheng Kaiyuan had never told anyone about it, but now that his mother had asked, he did not hide it. Mother, I've investigated in many ways. It's said that the faction behind the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce is called Sky City. It's just that I've never had a clue about this force called Sky City. Zheng Kaiyuan thought he was just saying something normal, but he did not expect his mother to suddenly frown. Then, the ferocious look in her eyes became even more intense, as though the original bee stinger had turned into a scorpion stinger. The ferocious glint in Miao Ji's eyes seemed to have covered the light emitted by the law crystal fragments embedded in the earrings. Then, Zheng Kaiyuan heard his mother sneer. Sky City. It's Sky City again. I didn't expect Sky City to have a conflict with my son a month before they went against the Miao family's beast creation garden. Miao Ji might have married into the Jing family, but as a core member of the Miao family, she still had great authority in the Miao family. She naturally knew that the Miao family was plotting against the Sun family's Du Immortal Garden. This move was very important to the Miao family. The Sun family had declined, and only an old woman and 2 children were left to support the family business. The Sun family was a fat piece of meat in the Miao family's eyes. As an apex faction, if the Miao family's beast creation garden could swallow the Sun family's Du Immortal Garden. With the Sun family's resources and a large number of creation masters, the beast creation garden could completely take over the Sun family's business and monopolize the plant-type Fey market. By then, the Miao family would be qualified to compete with Ascending Dragon City's Long family, which had the same function and almost monopolized the dragon-type Fey market. Therefore, the Miao family must not have any mishaps with the Sun family's big chess piece. However, the appearance of Sky City had broken a hole in the Miao family's chess game that was about to surround the Sun family. This allowed the Sun clan's Du Immortal Garden to have a chance of survival. After an intense investigation, the Miao family was shocked to discover that Sky Castle, which had suddenly appeared on Star Web and had been contending with the Miao family, did not have a foothold in reality. He was like a specter that had appeared out of nowhere on Star Web, leaving the Miao family with no way to deal with him. Now that her son, Zheng Kaiyuan, had encountered trouble, Miao Ji had helped the Miao family find the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce that Sky City controlled in reality. Regardless of whether it was a dragon or a snake, it would always be terrifying if it hid in the dark. However, if he could pinch the tail, he would have the opportunity to use his great strength to pull out the hidden dragon snake. Mother, Sky City's combat strength is quite strong. At the very least, they have the combat strength of a high-level emperor. Zheng Kaiyuan then told Miao Ji about how he had dispatched Nightmare 6 to assist Jiao Hansong in killing the masked youth. When Miao Ji asked her son Zheng Kaiyuan about the style of the mask on the young man's face, a look of certainty appeared in her sinister eyes. According to the information provided by Zheng Kaiyuan, the patterns on the masks of the 2 masked youths were different. One of them was wearing a mask with the majestic Sky City pattern, which was the same as the mask worn by the youth in Sky City Star Web private territory. Miao Ji felt that the two were very likely to be the same person. This meant that the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce was a very important industry to Sky City. However, Miao Ji did not understand why a small chamber of commerce like the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce, which was not even considered a rising faction, would be worth the attention of a faction like Sky City, which had a huge amount of creation master resources. Kaiyuan, leave this matter to me. Continue to focus on improving your strength as a creation master and prepare to participate in next year's Youth Creation Master Convention. Seize the top 10 spots. Upon hearing his mother's words, Zheng Kaiyuan nodded helplessly. He said with a slightly conflicted expression, "Got it. I will now be concocting the spirit fluid in the breeding room for 12 hours a day. I will definitely strive to break through to the level of an intermediate class 3 creation master within a year." Miao Ji shook her head. "How can 12 hours be enough? I called Big Sister and she said that you must be like when you were in the Beast Creation Academy. Concoct the spirit fluid for at least 16 hours a day." Zheng Kaiyuan's face turned bitter and looked like a frosted eggplant. "Got it, I will strive for it." Miao Ji reached out her hand to help Zheng Kaiyuan adjust his collar and said, "You can't just strive for it. You must ensure that you reach the level of an intermediate class 3 creation master within a year." Big Sister said that if you can't guarantee to concoct the spirit fluid for 16 hours a day, I will send you back to Big Sister. Zheng Kaiyuan could not help but shiver. His master, Miao Qi, was always good to him and would give him anything he wanted. It was just that she was too harsh. Practicing under Miao Qi for 2.5 years could be considered Zheng Kaiyuan's nightmare. Apart from eating, drinking, and taking a dump, he could only sleep for 4 hours. The rest of the time was spent in the breeding room concocting all kinds of spirit fluids over and over again. Even a prisoner had more freedom than him. The key was that whenever he failed to concoct the spirit fluid or the concocted spirit fluid's fusion rate was not high, his master, Miao Ji, would give him a look of disdain and silent reprimand. Zheng Kaiyuan quickly expressed his stance. "I will definitely mix the spirit liquid for 16 hours every day, not a minute less. In addition to concocting the spirit fluid, I will also spend an hour every day writing down my thoughts and experiences in the concocting process." Hearing Zheng Kaiyuan's words, Miao Ji nodded in satisfaction. He suddenly thought of something and said to Zheng Kaiyuan, "Sister asked me to tell you that the Spirit Guard's Chief Guard Yi will be holding a Nix assembly in 2 weeks. I heard that Bureau Chief Yi has received a disciple and wants to announce it to the public. At that time, Big Sister will personally come to pick you up and take you to the Nix assembly. Bamboo Monarch, Chef Supreme, and the Moon Empress will also be attending the Great Night Assembly, and they will bring their respective disciples. It is said that the Moon Empress, the only one among the 3 Class 5 creation masters who didn't have a disciple, has also secretly accepted a disciple. Even the Ascending Dragon City's Long Clan's Moon Empress didn't fancy him. I wonder what kind of heavenly prodigy the Moon Empress has chosen as her disciple. Kaiyuan, when the time comes, you have to strive to build a good relationship with Chief Guard Yi and the Moon Empress disciple. This way, your future path will be smoother." The second one was even worse. End of chapter. Chapter 720. At this point, Miao Zhi paused and continued. "If you can find a way to become close friends with Chief Guard Ye's disciple and the Moon Empress disciple, then not only you, but even the Miao and Jing families can borrow your strength. At that time, not only can you naturally inherit the Jing family, but you can also have a high voice in the Miao family as the Jing family head." Miao Ji recalled what Miao Qi had told her. His instructions to Zheng Kaiyuan could be said to be well-intentioned. Zheng Kaiyuan listened to his mother's words and nodded with a solemn expression. "Mother, don't worry. I'm best at making friends." Miao Ji was relieved after repeatedly exhorting him a few times. The Nix assembly is about to be held in the royal capital. Coupled with the Spirit Guard's ban, it's not good for me to send people to wipe out the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce now. If there's a big mess when wiping out the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce, it'll be equivalent to slapping Chief Guard Ye's face. After the next assembly, I'll send people to get rid of the listening heron chamber of commerce. At that time, I, Miao Ji, will explore the depths of Sky City. Lin Yuan took the elite/flawless muscle-growing camellia that Listen had brought back for him and returned to his room. After returning to his room, Lin Yuan flipped his hand, and a small snow-white pigeon appeared in his palm. After this snow-white pigeon was summoned from the Fey storage box, it rushed toward Lin Yuan's shoulder. However, it was flapped to the ground by Chimey, which Lin Yuan had summoned in advance. Just as Chimey was about to use sound-shattering strike on this small white pigeon, it was stopped by Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan was really afraid that Chimey would kill this rapid messenger pigeon. The silver rapid messenger pigeon did not even have room to struggle in front of the gold/fantasy breed Chimey. After Chimey was stopped by Lin Yuan, it landed on Lin Yuan's ear. Its eyes vigilantly watched the messenger pigeon on the ground, which was struggling to get up after being slapped. Chimey wasn't a violent fey, so it had immediately launched an attack on the messenger pigeon after it was summoned. This was because Chimey could sense the messenger pigeon's hostility toward Lin Yuan. The messenger pigeon was a communication-type silver fey. Even if it was not adept at attacking, its peck attack after a short acceleration could still injure Lin Yuan. As Chimey's closest person, Chimey would not let him get hurt. After the messenger pigeon struggled to get up from the ground, it turned around and fled out the window. Coincidentally, Lin Yuan's bedroom window was open, and the messenger pigeon flew out of the window. Lin Yuan did not stop the escaping messenger pigeon or let Chimey attack it. He watched as the messenger pigeon flew out of the window. After accelerating a few times, it merged with nature and turned into a translucent state before disappearing. Lin Yuan reached out to close the window in his room. Lin Yuan was not the owner of the messenger pigeon and could not let it help him send a message. By releasing the messenger pigeon after such a long time and letting it return, it was enough to show his attitude to the informant. Since someone from the Jing family had tipped him off at the beginning of the battle between him and the Jing family, this person must have some sort of motive. Lin Yuan only needed to wait and see what kind of news the next messenger pigeon that flew to the listening heron chamber of commerce would bring him. The Jing family was not united, and someone had other intentions. This was undoubtedly good news for Lin Yuan. As the saying went, the enemy of an enemy was a friend. Moreover, it was a friend from the Jing family who could grasp the Jing family's information. After dealing with all these, Lin Yuan returned to the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone with Chimey. When Lin Yuan entered the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone, he saw Genius squatting there and wagging its 5 fluffy tails. It was using the concocted spirit fluid to infect the tender sprouts that Lin Yuan had plucked from the military grain vine. Lin Yuan did not feel any psychological pressure when plucking the branches and leaves from the Sun family's Dew Immortal Nursery's soldier grain vine. The soldier grain vine was constantly growing new branches, and the wind speed rapid antelope would control its wind blades to cut off the new branches every once in a while. Then, Genius would store the soldier grain vine branches that had grown and made the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone seem crowded into the Platinum Phase storage box. Although the soldier grain vine was only at Bronze/Epic, the speed at which it grew branches was truly shocking to Lin Yuan. Furthermore, the legendary soldier grain vine's true power would only be revealed after reaching platinum. The soldier grain vine was still in a restrained state. However, even though the army's rations Daikin had shrunk its edge, it was still an astonishingly large granary. When Chimey saw that Genius and Lin Yuan were busy, it obediently returned to the bird's nest formed by the phoenix perching Chinese parasol tree's branches and leaves to absorb the exceptional flame energy sealed in the leaves at the top. In just a short moment, Chimey's feathers had all turned golden. When Genius saw that Lin Yuan had come to its side, it hurriedly placed the soldier grain vine branches, leaves, and potions aside. Lin Yuan bent over to pick Genius up and put it on his shoulder before asking Genius, "What's wrong?" He asked, "Genius, how is your research on the soldier grain vine branches? Can you think of a way to let the soldier grain vine branches take root?" Lin Yuan looked at the soldier grain vine branches that Genius had taken out for an experiment and reached out to touch the back of his head. Lin Yuan's pure spirit qi, which had always been successful, had completely lost out to the soldier grain vine. Lin Yuan could feel the extremely powerful meridian ability between the various tissues in the soldier grain vine branches. However, once the soldier grain vine branches were separated, it was as though they were dead. In order to preserve the nutrients in the branches to the greatest extent, the wounds were rapidly healed using the final meridian ability. When Lin Yuan injected pure spirit qi into the soldier grain vine branches that had been cut off, it could only allow the soldier grain vine to be infected by the spirit qi and become even more verdant. This spirit qi would not activate the army grain radish's powerful regenerative ability, allowing the army grain radish's branch to grow into a new individual like a normal usnea's branch. Lin Yuan could understand this point. After the great nature created a type of life form, in order to maintain a delicate balance in the world, it would always add a few shackles to the life form that broke the balance. The usneas might be small, but they could flourish everywhere. The soldier grain vine might be powerful, but it was as few as the morning stars. In this world, the Class 5 Creation Master, Chef Supreme, was the one who nurtured the soldier grain vine. The Chef Supreme definitely knew the method to nurture the soldier grain vine. However, Lin Yuan didn't know the Chef Supreme, so he naturally wouldn't know the method to nurture the soldier grain vine. The Sun family had one soldier grain vine, but Lin Yuan didn't think that the Sun family would be able to split it. Otherwise, the Sun family wouldn't have sent over just one military grain radish. However, pure spirit qi wasn't useful now, and Lin Yuan, a dabbler creation master, didn't have any good ideas for now. Chapter 3 Sad face. End of this chapter. Chapter 721. When Genius heard Lin Yuan's question, it replied in a childish voice. Genius Lin Yuan hasn't figured it out yet. Genius has tried a few types of Class 3 spirit liquids to nurture plant-type phase, and one of them is specially used to promote plant-type phase to take root. But it doesn't have any effect on the leaves of the soldier's rations vine. Lin Yuan, I have a feeling that after the army provision radish's branches are plucked, the tender branch's ability to divide has disappeared. I want to use the few old stumps at the bottom of the military grain radish to experiment. Lin Yuan, did you notice the difference between the military grain radish and the usneas? The vines at the bottom of the usneas will always grow forward. But if you don't cut the usnea's branches for a period of time, the roots of the usnea will turn into wood. At that time, these woody branches will no longer extend forward, and the woody branches will be tightly attached to the roots. The usneas will also start to differentiate from their roots to their forelimbs after the appearance of their lignified vines. That's why I think that the old wooden stake at the end of the army's rations vine might have the ability to split. After hearing Genius words, Lin Yuan's brows twitched violently. This soldier food radish belonged to the Sun family, and Lin Yuan had already checked on its owner. Only 3. The 3 old stumps were also connected to the same root, so it could be said that the 3 old stumps formed the main body of the army grain radish. If he cut off the old stalk of the army grain radish, even if he healed the army grain radish's damaged source, the old stalk would not grow back. At that moment, Genius spoke again. Yuan, the soldier ration radish is only at bronze/epic now. If I can evolve it to the legendary grade, the army grain radish's splitting ability might become stronger. After hearing Genius words, Lin Yuan pondered for a moment. Then, he dialed Sun Ningxiang's number decisively. In Lin Yuan's opinion, a gentleman must obtain wealth in a proper way. After listening to Genius words, Lin Yuan was indeed thinking about the army ration's old pillar luo. He wanted to see if he could nurture a foundational resource like the military rations vine no matter what. In the era of the spirit qi awakening, food, shelter, and transportation were all based on the premise that every spirit qi professional had a contracted spirit beast. At this point it has become very easy. Although many spirit qi professionals didn't have flying type phase, they could still travel 100 miles by riding on terrestrial phase. As for clothing and shelter, although these two aspects were important, they were not essential for human survival. Humans could still survive without clothes and shelter. But without food, it would be impossible. Spirit Chi professionals were constantly increasing their strength, and their bodies were being nourished by Spirit Chi to become stronger. Their bodies' nutritional requirements were also constantly increasing. This was also the reason why high-ranked Spirit Chi professionals would always feel hungry when eating low-grade spiritual ingredients. Especially Fays that Spirit Chi professionals had to contract. Fays also needed to consume a large amount of nutrients every day to ensure their health and vitality. If the military rations vine could be nurtured, it would be akin to holding a large granary in his hands. Moreover, the army grain radishes vines could feed herbivorous Fays, carnivorous Fays, and omnivorous Spirit Chi professionals at the same time. This was akin to saying that as long as he had the military rations, he would have a trump card in terms of food. No matter what happened in the future, he would never need to worry about food. If possible, Lin Yuan even wanted to buy the entire military grain vine from Sun Ningxiang's hands. Soon, Sun Ningxiang picked up the phone. Lin Yuan heard Sun Ningxiang's enthusiastic voice over the phone. I was just about to look for you. I didn't expect you to call me first. I forgot to tell you yesterday that there's no need to be too anxious about enhancing Fays. It just so happens that in addition to the 80 plant Fays that need to be induced with high-purity Spirit Chi, I've sorted out another 100 Fays that need to be enhanced. I'll send you the 100 Law Origin crystals as a reward in a while. Sun Ningxiang's words made Lin Yuan feel stunned because there was a huge contradiction between her words. Although Sun Ningxiang said that there was no hurry, under the premise that he had not mailed the 80 Fays to Sun Ningxiang last time, Sun Ningxiang had sent him another batch of Fays that needed to be enhanced along with the reward. On the one hand, Lin Yuan could understand it as Sun Ningxiang's goodwill, using 100 Law Origin crystals to show her trust in him. But if that was the case, then Sun Ningxiang's trust once again showed the Du Immortal Garden's predicament. It proved that Sun Ningxiang had no other choice but to trust him. Take Lin Yuan for example. If he traded with others, he might also pay first because of trust. However, this kind of situation would definitely not happen to someone he had only met a few times. Even if there was, it would be with trustworthy friends like Gao Feng who had done many transactions. Moreover, even if Lin Yuan paid first because of trust in Gao Feng, he would never pay for the second transaction in advance before the end of the first transaction. Lin Yuan was letting Wen Yu investigate the Sun family's Du Immortal Garden's trouble, and he would have an answer tomorrow or the day after. Originally, Lin Yuan just wanted to understand the faction he was cooperating with so that he had a good idea. However, Sun Ningxiang's approach made Lin Yuan start to become interested in the Sun family's problems. Now that Sun Ningxiang had once again expressed her trust in him, Lin Yuan had to give a reply. I'm not in a hurry, but the 80 Fays that require high concentration Spirit Chi to evolve have been nurtured. I will get Ostrich Logistics to deliver it to you in a while. 3 hours later, the 80 Fays that have evolved with pure Spirit Chi will be delivered to you. Lin Yuan had just finished speaking when he heard Sun Ningxiang's slightly surprised exclamation from the other end of the phone. Sun Ningxiang, who was on the other end of the phone, was completely stunned. It had only been about 6 days since he had sent the 80 Fays that required pure Spirit Chi to evolve. Even if all the Sky City's Creation Masters worked for him, a pinnacle class for Creation Master could only enhance 2 Fays a day. That would also require close to 10 pinnacle class for Creation Masters. Sun Ningxiang definitely did not believe that Sky City could have around 10 pinnacle class for Creation Masters. In the entire Radiance Federation, there were at most a few dozen pinnacle class for Creation Masters in addition to the top faction's private stash. Even the Zheng family's Beast Creation Garden, which was a top faction, only had 5 pinnacle class for Creation Masters. Furthermore, the Zheng family's Beast Creation Garden was a faction that excelled in Creation Master resources. In Sun Ningxiang's opinion, Sky City's pinnacle class for Creation Master resources could not possibly be more than double that of the Zheng family. Seeking recommendation votes, monthly votes, and explosive updates the day after tomorrow. End of this chapter. Chapter 722. For some reason, Sun Ningxiang felt that Sky City might really be overseen by a Class 5 creation master. Either that or Sky City had the habit of storing a large amount of 4-star spirit liquid. Otherwise, how could he use high-purity spirit qi to induce so many fays to evolve so quickly? Sun Ningxiang was about to ask for more information, but before she could speak, Lin Yuan's voice came from the other end of the phone. There was a soldier grain radish among the fays you mailed last time. I'm very interested in it. I don't know if you're willing to part with your treasure. You can name your conditions. On the other end of the line, Lin Yuan was thinking about how he could trade for the soldiers' rations. However, he didn't expect Sun Ningxiang to reject him without hesitation. I'm sorry, I can't part with the army's rations. Upon hearing Sun Ningxiang's resolute tone, Lin Yuan knew that it would be very difficult for him to obtain the military rations from her. However, Lin Yuan still decided to use other moves to fight for it. Last time, you said you wanted bronze/legend muscle revitalizing camellia. Legendary grade muscle rejuvenating camellias are too rare. However, I can give you some legendary muscle rejuvenating camellia's leaf stems. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Sun Ningxiang held her breath and pondered. Sun Ningxiang wanted the bronze/legend muscle revitalizing camellia to treat her grandmother's rotten and atrophied muscles and relieve her pain. Sun Ningxiang knew that her grandmother's injuries were too severe. A small amount of the legendary quality muscle revitalizing camellia could only alleviate her grandmother's injuries. Moreover, his grandmother's body didn't just suffer from muscle atrophy. In comparison, muscle atrophy and rotting was considered a relatively minor injury on his grandmother. But the army provisions were the Sun clan's solid foundation. The Sun family's only army grain radish was given by his grandfather, who had risked his life to help Lord Chef Supreme. Furthermore, his grandfather did not seek the Chef Supreme's help to enhance the Fey, which was why the Chef Supreme had bestowed the soldier grain radish to him. Therefore, no matter what, Sun Ningxiang would not trade the rations away. Sun Ningxiang rejected again. I'm still sorry, but the army rations cannot be traded. He wasn't surprised that Sun Ningxiang would reject him for the second time, but he didn't expect her to reject him so firmly. In fact, Lin Yuan did not have to trade the entire military ration vine. In fact, he didn't have to trade the entire soldier grain radish. However, there are 3 old stumps for the soldier's ravenous vine. I want to use the leaf stem of the bronze/legend muscle revitalizing camellia to exchange for one of the old stumps for the soldier's ravenous vine. Sun Ningxiang frowned tightly and found it hard to make a choice for a moment. Cutting off the soldier grain radish's old stakes was too damaging to a fey like the soldier grain radish. Moreover, the soldier grain radish's old stakes could not be recovered after being cut off. Even if new stumps could grow out in the future, who knew how long it would take? Back then, Supreme Chef had given his grandfather only 1 old stalk of the army's grain radish. It took the Sun family several decades to grow it from 1 old stalk to 3 now. Spirit. Sky God, Lin, and Spirit. But even if he didn't, he could. He, of Lu. Just as Sun Ningxiang was about to agree after weighing the pros and cons, she heard Lin Yuan speak again. How about this? Sky City will upgrade the bronze/epic army grain radish to legendary. Sun Ningxiang, who had been ready to compromise, agreed excitedly. No problem, if you can enhance the soldier grain radish to legend. I'll use complete law crystals to trade according to the previous agreement. Sun Ningxiang had sent the soldier grain radish to Lin Yuan because she wanted him to enhance it from flawless to epic. Then, she would take it back to the Dew Immortal Garden and start to enhance the soldier grain radish's grade, which had been stored in the old mansion's treasury. A high-grade soldier grain radish's vines could bring Dew Immortal Garden a considerable amount of radiance dollars and expand its shrinking cash flow. A high-grade military grain vine could produce a large number of radiance dollars for the dew-congealing immortal garden, allowing it to expand the dew-congealing immortal garden's shrinking cash flow. After the soldier grain radish's vines were buried in the ground and rotted, the nutrient-rich soil could also promote the growth of other plant phase. She didn't expect that the soldier grain radish, which she thought could only be nurtured to epic, would be lucky enough to be promoted to legend under Lin Yuan's promise. This made Sun Ningxiang especially excited. A foundational resource like the soldier grain radish was nurtured at bronze/epic, and it was far less powerful than nurturing it at bronze/legend. If Lin Yuan could enhance the soldier grain radish to legend, even if one of its vines was cut off, it would have an impact. However, in the long run, the enhancement of the soldier grain radish's quality could be considered a great thing for the Dew Immortal Garden. If he was lucky, it would take 1 or 2 years. There would always be a chance for the soldier grain radish to grow another vines. At that time, the soldier grain radish would have 3 vines again. However, there would be no more opportunities to enhance the soldier grain radish's quality to legend. Lin Yuan originally wanted to use the opportunity to enhance the soldier grain radish to legend to exchange for one of its vines. He didn't expect Sun Ningxiang to still give him a complete set of law crystals according to the previous transaction agreement. Lin Yuan could not help but have a good impression of Sun Ningxiang. During this time, if the Dew Immortal Garden has any phase that need to be enhanced, you can send them over. Sky City will complete the transaction with the Dew Immortal Garden at the current speed. After discussing the transaction, Lin Yuan hung up the phone. On the other end of the phone, Sun Ningxiang couldn't help but reveal a bright smile when she heard the busy tone from the phone. It was like a person who had been in the dark for a long time suddenly seeing the light. Upon seeing Sun Ningxiang's smile, Xinghua, who was helping Sun Ningxiang organize the information, couldn't help but be stunned. Xinghua had grown up with Sun Ningxiang, and in her memory, Sun Ningxiang loved to smile when she was young. Basically, whenever he saw Sun Ningxiang would have a sweet smile on her face. There were even warm dimples beside her smile. However, ever since the Sun family's accident, the smile on Sun Ningxiang's face disappeared. When Xinghua saw Sun Ningxiang smile again after so many years, she felt that everything in the past was like a dream. Xinghua couldn't help but feel a sour feeling in her heart. A direct descendant of a top faction. What a noble identity. But because of this identity, her young lady was also enduring unimaginable pressure. Xinghua looked at Sun Ningxiang's smile and felt extremely distressed. Seeking monthly votes and recommendation votes. End of this chapter. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.